Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on your time and your location. I greet my leader, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, the United State of Biafra President. My greetings to my Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa Njoku. My greetings to one and only current acting Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze. My greetings to all the Biafran's cabinet members and all the Biafra military commanders that are faithful and resolute. My wonderful greetings to all the real Biafrans that stand on the side of United States of Biafra. And I greet all the allies and friends and family that are supporting United States of Biafra on this movement that we are into on this stage. I welcome you this wonderful afternoon. I welcome you this wonderful evening, wonderful morning. Depends on your time and your location. I welcome you. So please, as I welcome you, endeavor to welcome one another into this live wonderful program that we all are going to share our thoughts and hear things that has happened in the past that is also happening in our own time. How we can draw a lesson or how we can learn a lesson from these things that has happened in the past that is in front of us repeating in this 21st century of the movement of restoring United States of Biafra, that we should not undermine, that we have to bear in our mind that this is the truth and must be told to the world. And that from there, we as the Biafran people have to learn our lesson and draw things that will help us to achieve our own country. So that is what we are here to do this wonderful afternoon. And this is the program we are here to carry on this very wonderful evening or morning. Depends on your time and your location. So as I welcome you, please endeavor to welcome one another by like and sharing the program. That is how you can help mainly on this program today to share and like, so others may join us to listen to us and also to learn what we are doing, and also for us to change the narrative of the movement that we're into, so everyone that is listening may understand why he or her must stand on the mandate of our real declaration, that it is very, very sacrosanct, very, very important at this stage that we're into. So please, hit the like button as you join me. Put your comments as you are on this platform. What we're here to do is very simple for those that take the movement that we're into as a reality. And once you take something as a reality, it becomes very simple and possible on your own side. Then all the lies and deceits may disappear from you, and people that are listening will listen with good intention and understand why we, as people of Biafra, continue after 1967 to 1970 genocidal war to continue on this quest of Biafra as a country of our own. Why is very, very important to we all as the people of Biafra. Because in Igbo adage, asị na ọ bụrụ na ị gaba ma ọ bụrụ na ị garuo ekosi na ọ na-aga ruo mgbe ị garuo ebe ị na-aga. The same thing gwakwa ma ijebe ma ijerube. You continue ọkwa na-eje until you get where ebe ị na-eje. That is where we are. And now we are in the finishing line of this movement, Biafra as a country to the world. We have to stand on the side of all the existing protocol of the world. So through that means, the world will see us as abiding, peace-loving country that want to bring peace into the world, not to bring war and confusion into the world. That is why it is very, very imperative that we stand on the truth. When our leader, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, said that we are going to use the truth to destroy the world, it's about to expose the thing that is happening in Nigeria and also to tell ourselves the truth. That is exactly my own understanding from that word from MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, the president of United States of Biafra. On the stage that where we are, a lot is happening, and a lot is continuously happening. The question may be, what do you really want as a Biafran? What do you really want? Do you want Biafra by a name of a person? Or you want Biafra as a country? Do you want Biafra as a country, or you want someone who will bring Biafra for you? Now, example, look at Nigeria governments and all they are doing. Those who never voted APC as a country today, or Tinubu as a president, immediately Tinubu won the election and remained in that seat, they all call him what? They all call him their president. Of which country? Nigeria. But you that want Biafra as a country, Is you think that if Biafra is not coming because of from the voice of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, that another person who is in the struggle to end the agitation and the protest and enter into the finishing line, which is our real declaration, that person is a scam, he's a criminal, he's a Fulani, he's clean Omajani. That means you want Biafra by sentiment. You want Biafra because of one person. And the if they let's work. Let's work. So as we are moving, sorry for that. I checked my network because the network is frozen. I think the network is better right now. I think so. I think the network is better. So if you want a Biafra of a name of a person that will only be the leader before you can achieve the Biafra, that simply means you are making a very big mistake. Because for us to achieve Biafra as a country, it does not depend on one person's shoulder to achieve Biafra as a country. Rather, it is a very big collective effort of everyone. You know, ndị be anyị si n'okwu Igbo na ka ị na-ekwu okwu ndụ ka ị na-ekwu okwu ọnwụ. Enweghị eji ndụ ya n'aka. Ọ bụrụ na the leader na ọnwụ bịara tomorrow gbuo the leader, o wee nwụọ, gịnị ga-emezi na the country a na-ekwu ka enwe? Because of na the leader adịghịzi, this is an example for those who said if MAZI Nnamdi Kanu did not bring Biafra, that Biafra will not come. And for those who also believe if Simon did not bring Biafra, that Biafra should not come. That is why I am using this narrative to you. Ihi na ka na-ekwu okwu na adị ndụ, ka na-ekwu okwu na aga nwụkwa anwụ, mana nwere onye na-ewu isi ọnwụ. Because be in prison is a similar case of someone who is no longer alive somehow. I mean, I am not wishing anybody death, but the issue is, if it happens, so that means that if a president of country die, that country will no longer exist, that the country will stop because one particular president is no longer alive. Is it the kind of Biafra you want? Is it a Biafra that when the leader is incarceration, that everybody should fold his or her hand and continue waiting for that leader to come out? That the leader should come out and continue from where he stopped. Then, when you as a person is following the leader, what do you learn from him? Why does it look like when that leader is not there that you cannot do anything about the movement? So, on our own case of the people of University of Biafra, Biafra we are looking for is a country, not a private business or not a family business, but rather a country in full force is what Biafra is all about. And the question may be, like an example, when Magahandi of India was arrested and his own second in command was arrested, the dream or the actualization of India as a country, those that are outside was not arrested. Do they went underground and be waiting for the leader to come out before they will continue the movement? So, you that always said, if not MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, that Biafra will not come. Biafra, is he a name of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu? Biafra, is this the name of MAZ Simon Ekpa? Biafra is a name of all of us as the people of the country. Because the word Biafra stands for a country, true of us. So when the leader is not there, like India, like Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, like what happened in Bangladesh, like what happened in South Africa, in the line of Nelson Mandela that all of us call a hero today, that all of us see as a hero, when all of them was arrested, there are people who believe in that ideology. What are they doing? Did he call to release Nelson Mandela? Did he call to release Jomo Kenyatta? Did he call to release Magahandi? Did he call to release Rahiman of Bangladesh? What was the thing that released him? Is the action of people that are outside. What are the actions they take, and what was the things that triggers the release of these leaders? Things that triggers the release of these leaders is, one, totally declaration of India as a country. Total declaration of Kenya as a country. Total declaration of Bangladesh as a country. When these leaders was arrested, when Nelson Mandela was arrested, the people who believe that we must end apartheid regime did not fold their hand and wait until Nelson Mandela comes out before they can continue in their movement. But rather, they push hard. When the government of South Africa said, stop it at home, we will release Magahandi, the people will increase the momentum of the sit at home. They will increase anything they are doing to achieve, to end the apartheid regime and have a new government. They continue in that line that triggers the international pressure. after Nelson Mandela was in the prison for good 27 good years. The action of his people, those continuously, that is why after Magahandi's arrest, a woman piloted the movement that ends the apartheid regime. And Nelson Mandela come out and become the president of South Africa. The Power of Declaration. Today, we are going to light on the issue of those that when their leader was arrested, they did not make declaration. And because of there is no declaration, the leaders remain in prison. Some die in prison. I have proved to you on this platform the leaders that when they was arrested, that their people organize themselves and make declaration that leads to their leaders released or be in prison as a president in waiting. Today, I want to prove to you the leaders that was arrested and their people refused to make declaration. And on that, some of those leaders are still in prison till today. And could you imagine that the name of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu falls as one of them, that the organization he forms refused to make declaration that give Nigeria power to sentence him to life imprisonment. That is what I am here to prove to you. Because if you are still doubting the power of declaration, of our rare declaration that took place in Helsinki, Lahti, Finland, November 29, 2024, then you may know that you are playing with your life. And if we did not declare this, if Dr. Nnamdi Kanu did not make this rare declaration of United States of Biafra that are seeking for international recognition, we as people of Biafra till today will be making noise, or we might not have the encourage to talk about Biafra again, because the intention of those that are arresting the leader is to silence the freedom of the people or to stop the movement that the leaders are pushing for. That is why on this stage that we are into, I want to clear your doubts, for you to know that only this our declaration is the only hope for MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpanjoko, and you as a Biafran today. I want to prove to you the leaders that are still remaining in prison because of lack of declaration from his people, and those that because of their wasting time to make the declaration that the leader died in the prison. The key of a sovereign state, the opening key is declaration that leads to international recognition of sovereignty. First, it leads to self-sovereignty recognition. That is why I told you that on this page, that our code remains, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. As we are about to go into this history line of countries like one in Turkey, one in Costa Rica, one in Azerbaijan, that because of they never make official declaration that their leader remains in prison. Because the declaration gives outside world or other countries the power to intervene into the matter to prove that a leader of a country cannot be in prison in another country. Our people, our mindset, our reasoning should be lifted up, geared towards what the world knows and what they are looking out for. Despite all these organizations that are disturbing our recognition, it can take us time, but we are there and we must achieve our country through international recognition. Before we go into the history line, we are going to greet our people in the comment section and thank everyone who is here already with us. It is very, very imperative that I do so. Yes, the first person we have here today is Geneka Nwafo. Thank you so much. Watching from Nigeria, from the fair country. If you are watching us from Enugu and everywhere, you are in Biafra land. If you are watching us from any part of old Eastern region, you are no longer in Nigeria, you are in Biafra. Because Biafra has been re-declared. That is why we want you to know from anywhere you are watching us in this old Eastern region that you are watching from where? From Biafra land. Not from Nigeria anymore. Nigeria is no longer exists in our own mind now that we are fighting for Biafra. I see you, Triple M. Thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon from my location. Triple M said, greetings to you, MAZI Biafra. You are really indeed USB history master. Hey, yeah, thank you so much. Triple M shows Biafrans love. Biafrans love you for your teaching. Makes sense. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is, I am happy to hear that. What we are doing is our people are following up and is helping a lot of Biafrans. That is why we are here to contribute the little quarter and what we can be able to do to make that we join the voice of our DPM to achieve Biafra as a country. Thank you so much, Triple M, and all the Biafrans. He continues, says, greetings to you, all my genuine fellow Biafran citizens. He also said, please kindly hit the like button and he maintained on our code, Triple M. Hashtag I am a citizen of the United States of Biafra, USB. Thank you so much. I see my senior comrade, a person I call a father, Oluchiwa Gods. Ototu ọma nwanne kekwanu. I greet you. Hashtag I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. I see you, Bishop. Good afternoon also from my location. It's afternoon here also. Good afternoon from here, Nwanne. I greet you. And he comments, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. Leading by Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, 29th November 2024 in Lati, Finland. Thank you so much. I see another my father here, Emma Greg. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good day, my brother. I greet you so. I see coaches offer to Onyezioku. Ototoma MAZI, Ototoma to you, coaches. I thank you so much. And I also see you watching from India. Greetings from my location. I greet you too. Thank you so much for being here. is where we go to the history line of countries that have this the best and those that they did not do the best. That is what this platform represents, bringing you history of what happened in the past and what is happening today, and why we, as people of Biafra, must continue to do what we are doing to achieve our country. Before I go, I will refresh your mind with our program yesterday. Why the declaration is very, very important. Why the declaration is very, very important. Before we go into the history of those that because of lack of declaration of the new country that their leader is fighting, that they remain in prison. How the declaration is a key to release every leader who is fighting for a new country. Listen from here as I play it. Chris, Biafran son, I see you. Thank you so much. Take this as my first message to you today.
A formal declaration, whether it is a declaration of independence, a peace treaty, or a proclamation of amnesty, is often the only thing standing between a leader being viewed as a criminal and being viewed as a head of state. When a leader is in prison, they are under the legal jurisdiction of the power that arrested them. A declaration changes the entire game board in three critical ways. 1. Legal transformation, from traitor to statesman. Without a formal declaration, a freedom fighter is legally classified by the ruling power as a terrorist, insurgent, or traitor. The shift, a declaration of independence or a formal peace accord, creates a new legal reality. It acknowledges that the prisoner is no longer a subject of the old regime, but a representative of a sovereign entity. Amnesty. Most declarations include a general amnesty clause. This legally wipes away the life sentence, making it possible for the leader to hold office without a criminal record hanging over them. 2. Diplomatic recognition. The seat at the table. A leader cannot govern from a cell, and other countries cannot easily negotiate with a prisoner. Sovereignty. Once a country is declared independent, that leader becomes a personage of state. International law starts to protect them. Pressure. A declaration gives the United Nations or neighboring countries the legal standing to demand the leader's release, arguing that a sovereign nation cannot have its president held captive by a foreign power. 3. Moral and psychological legitimacy. For the people fighting on the ground, a declaration is the finish line. Validation. It proves that the leader's sacrifice, the years in prison, was worth it. Authority. It provides the mandate needed to transition from rebel commander to a civilian administrator. For example, when Nelson Mandela was released, the declaration of a new democratic framework was what ensured he wasn't just out of jail, but was the rightful authority to lead the transition. Why the life sentence specifically matters. When a leader is sentenced to life imprisonment, the ruling power is trying to bury the movement by removing its head. A declaration acts as a resurrection. 1. It admits the old law has failed. 2. It nullifies the life aspect of the sentence, because the legal system that issued the sentence no longer has power over that person. 3. It turns the prison cell into a waiting room for the presidency. Would you like to see the specific wording used in a famous declaration, like Kenya's or South Africa's, that led to a leader's release?
I hope you have listened to it. How declaration is what is the finishing line of a movement of having a new country. I see you, Ben. Thank you so much for your wonderful super chats. We are trying to get the PEDRO standard in a normal where it can help all of us. Thank you so much. May Elohim bless you and protect you. May your pocket never run dry as you do this. Yes, I see you, Ijele Nwaitina Asawani. Ijele, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Ben, thank you. I see Chizoba Peter, thank you so much. Good afternoon to you all from my location. Now, you can hear how declaration release all these leaders. That is why they say that declaration of the South Africa movement of Nelson Mandela was another rare declaration of South Africa. As you can hear. So, Those that refuse to acknowledge our real declaration is wasting their time. Are you listening? Those that refuses to acknowledge our declaration, you are doing yourself more harm than good. And that is why we are so. That is why we want to understand that you are just doing yourself more harm than good. That there is no other thing you have except to acknowledge the real declaration of USB as your own country, not the other way around. If declaration is what helped Magahandi to be out, and also he become a president of India or the prime minister. If Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, the declaration of Kenya people is what pulled him out from prison, and Kenya become a country. If that's also what pulls Nelson Mandela out, what else do you want? Now let us go into the headline you are seeing. History of a freedom fighters that was arrested and their people refused to do declaration. What was their condition? That is the program we are going to listen to right now. Remember, I have given you to those that met when their leader was arrested, that their people stood up and make declaration. That their people stood up, like what the cabinet member of former bridge that make declaration of the USB. Let us see. That's what I have given to you. Now let us see on the history of those that did not make declaration when their leader was in incarceration. And you will see where the name of MAZI and Kanu fall in. You will see. Before I go, to clear your mind clearly, let us listen to why declaration is the only thing that changes status of a leader who was arrested in the name of fighting for a new country.
Think of it this way. Before a declaration, the leader is playing a game where the other side makes all the rules. The declaration is the moment they throw away the old rulebook and write a brand new one. Here is...
I hope you're listening to this. Be thinking of it this way. Before a declaration, the leader is playing a game where the other side makes all the rule. That is why ABDUIIAH told us that without declaration, we are just making noise in social media. The declaration is the moment they throw away the old ruling book and they write a new, brand new one. Our declaration from that day is where we throw all Nigeria laws. That is why the USB can pass the law of working days, 4 working days in Bafra land. Do you understand? Because our declaration has given us the power to throw away Nigeria law that is no longer governing the people of United States of Biafra. That is no longer governing us anymore. That what is governing us is what? The new law. We have thrown away the old book of Nigeria because of what? The declaration. Now, let us see how this declaration is a very powerful, only a powerful, strong enough thing to change the leader's status of being rebel, terrorist, and all the name that was being called.
Why a declaration is the only power strong enough to flip a leader's status from criminal to commander-in-chief.
I hope you're listening. Here is why the declaration is the only powerful, strong enough to flip a leader's status from a criminal to a commander-in-chief. Are you following? The declaration. The declaration. The declaration. The only thing that can change the status of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, that can discharge all these charges that Nigeria labeled on him and Simon Eber through our recognition.
1. It kills the legal ghost of the old regime.
1. It kills the legal ghost of the old regime. The declaration kills the legal ghost of old declaration. That this, our declaration, kills the legal way of Nigeria. If all Biafrans, including the IPOB, could have embraced this, our declaration, because a agitation without declaration is like going to school without graduation document. So all the years you are in school without this graduation document is plain and wasted years. A declaration is example of after you have studied, finished your master degree, without the document of that your master degree, there is no way you can present yourself under that level. So the declaration is what moves everything on top and higher level and become the end of endless agitation, endless protest, and all the endless movement. The declaration is the end of all this that has happened. Yes. Those that are fighting against ALBIZU never trust themselves. They're all betrayers. That is why they are doing the shenanigans that they are doing. I want you to listen to this carefully.
When a leader is arrested, they are processed under the laws of the occupying or colonial power, e.g., British law, French law, or apartheid law.
Are you hearing it? If any leader was arrested, they are under that power that arrested them. Now, what will change this power or remove this power that arrested them from their side is what? The power of the declaration. Edith, I see you. Last I see you. Thanks so much for coming.
The problem, as long as those laws exist, that leader is legally a convict. The solution, a declaration of
If
independence.
there is no declaration, the leader still remains a convict under the law of that country that is holding him. Are you following? Because people, I don't know how our people reason. And I don't know how people see things. But because of our people's mindset and how we reason, things are not making sense to our people because they want to believe in propaganda and lies. This is the truth that I want you to understand it clearly at this stage that we are into. The truth can be delayed, but it can never be denied at all. That is why I am here to bring you all this message so you may understand it clearly. Listen.
Is a legal Big Bang. It creates a new universe where the old laws cease to exist. The result, the life sentence, becomes a ghost. It was issued by a government that technically no longer has power over that person. 2. It switches the source of power. This is the most critical psychological and legal shift. Before the declaration. After the declaration. Authority comes from the crown or colonial ruler. Authority comes from the people. The leader is a subject who broke the law. The leader is a representative who fulfills the law. The prison cell is for punishment. The prison cell is a sacrifice for the nation. 3. It forces international recognition. Without a declaration, other countries, like the USA, France, or the UN, cannot officially help the leader because they would be interfering in another country's internal crimes. The declaration turns an internal police matter into an international conflict. Once the declaration is made, other countries can recognize the prisoner as a head of state. Example, once the new country is recognized, holding that leader in prison becomes an act of war against the sovereign nation, rather than just keeping a prisoner in jail. 4. The pen is mightier than the sword. In many cases, the freedom fighters cannot win a total military victory. They can't break their leader out of a high-security prison by force. The declaration is the political jailbreak. It creates a situation where the only way for the old government to have peace is to sign a treaty that recognizes the declaration. The trade, the old government gets to leave peacefully, and in exchange, they must release the criminal so he can become the president and keep the new country stable. The status flip summary. Treason doth never prosper. What's the reason? Why, if it prosper, none dare call it treason. Sir John Harrington. A declaration is the prosperity that stops people from calling the leader's actions treason. It rebrands rebellion as patriotism. Would you like me to show you a specific amnesty clause from a real treaty that turned a prisoner into a president?
As you can see, the declaration is what gives a countries like America power to talk about us. The declaration is what gives UN power to listen to us. The UN gives EU power to listen to our declaration gives EU power to talk about us. Then also, what of AU in Africa? The declaration is what gives all these people power to talk about us and also to talk about MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ebanjoko. Without this official declaration, there is nobody who has power to talk about it because you are interfering into internal matter of Nigeria. But this our declaration or this our re-declaration make it to become external matter of other countries. You have heard it here clearly. You can see why we must continue. Network. Network is fighting me. Listen to this.
When a leader is fighting for freedom but their people or the international community refuses to issue or recognize a Declaration of Independence, that leader often becomes what historians call a forgotten prisoner or a permanent dissident. Without a declaration, there is no legal bridge to move that person from the status of a criminal to a head of state. Here are the primary examples of leaders whose freedom and status were stalled because a declaration was absent, refused, or unrecognized. 1. FILP Karma, West Papua. FILP Karma is a modern example of a leader who remained in prison specifically because the ruling power refused to recognize his people's right to a declaration. The Act. In 2004, he raised the Morning Star flag, a symbol of West Papuan independence, and participated in a ceremony to commemorate a 1961 Declaration of Independence that was never internationally recognized. The sentence, he arrested for treason and sentenced to 15 years. The refusal. The Indonesian government refused to acknowledge the independence movement as a legal entity. Because the international community did not recognize West Papua as a new country, Kanu remained a prisoner of conscience for over a decade rather than a president. The result, he was released in 2015 only after massive international pressure, but because there was no recognized declaration, he returned to being a private citizen, not a leader of a new state. 2. Nnamdi Kanu, Biafra/Nigeria. Kanu represents a leader whose movement wants a new country, Biafra, but the government and the international community refuse to grant or recognize a declaration. The struggle, he leads the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. He was arrested on charges of treason and terrorism. The standoff, because the Nigerian government refuses to allow a referendum or a declaration of independence, Kanu has remained in a legal limbo. The result, in 2025-2026, he remains in a cycle of detention and trials. Without a formal declaration that creates a new Biafra, the Nigerian court system treats him as a citizen breaking domestic law rather than a foreign leader in conflict. 3. The Day Music Group, Western Sahara. The Sahrawi people have declared a republic, the SADR, but because many countries in the occupying power, Morocco, refuse to recognize that declaration. The situation, many Sahrawi leaders remain in Moroccan prisons, serving life sentences. The legal trap, since the declaration of their country is not universally recognized, they are treated as internal rebels. Their life sentence remains in effect because the new country they fight for does not yet have the legal power to issue an amnesty that the rest of the world will follow. Comparison. Why the declaration is the key. Leader. Status of declaration. Result for the leader. Nelson Mandela, recognized by the world/regime. Released to become president. Nnamdi Kanu, refused by the regime. Remains in prison/trial. Philip Karma, suppressed by the regime. Served full term. No presidency. Summary. If the people or the world refuse to make or recognize the declaration, the leader remains under the old laws. In the eyes of the old government. 1. There is no new country. 2. Therefore there is no new law. 3. Therefore the old prison is the only legal reality. A leader's freedom is almost always tied to the sovereignty of the land they represent. If the land isn't free on paper, the declaration, the leader isn't free in person. Would you like me to look for a leader who died in prison because the declaration of their country happened too late?
I hope you listen a little bit and you pay attention. What I'm doing here is I am giving you a leaders that remain in prison because of there is no atom of declaration, talk less of recognition. Leaders that are in prison today, and look at that line. MAZI and the Kanu still fall in that line. Do you know why? Because the world are still carrying that narrative in the archive that IPOB did not make official declaration. That IPOB did not make declaration as the organization that MAZI and the Kanu formed by himself that was supposed to make declaration that will release him from prison. Could you imagine? So think of if people under Simon Ekpa did not make declaration. Think of what will be because of MAZI Simon Ekpa. You see, these 6 years that Finality give to him could have been life imprisonment, or they will sentence him, they will send back to Nigeria. Because without the declaration, that is on the camp charge Nigeria used to sentence MAZI Simon Ekpa, sorry, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, because IPOB did not make declaration, and IPOB never know what calls declaration. That is why MAZI Nnamdi Kanu seen as somebody who believe in Nigeria, so that Nigeria law is what used to sentence him because of what? There is no declaration, there is no new law, there is no new country. There is no new law, there is no country, no new country. Therefore, the old prison is the only legal reality. Listen to here again. We have to take our time to torchlight here. And we're also going to prove to you that a leader died in prison because of his people delayed the declaration. That is why you must thank Ngozi Arabeze That is why I must thank all the cabinet members that are stand strong till today. I know why I focus on this declaration. And if you are following me, you may understand why why I continuously on this declaration, and those that their people is fighting for could not be able to make declaration. They mention here 3 or 4 leaders that are in custody today because of what? Because his people could not be able to make declaration. Our people thinking that military on ground is more important than the declaration. You are deceiving yourself. Men on ground, their action cannot release MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. Their action cannot release Simon. Rather, it will still pushing them that they are sponsoring terrorists. That they are sponsoring those that are destroying Nigeria. What supersedes military in this 21st century is our declaration document that also changes the status of all these men on ground to become a military, a police force of a new country that are seeking for international recognition. It is what it is, whether like it or not. You see, this truth must be told. You see, this your ignorance is never going to be an excuse in the eyes of the law. Before you become an on ground, there is a law. And you are carrying that arm under the law of Nigeria. Once you did not accept our declaration, once Nigeria catches you, they will judge you under their law and you become a criminal, a terrorist, a rebel. But for you to accept the new country with a new law that will change that will change your status, you refuse. And you are making mockery of yourself in this social media. Continue. It's all I will tell you. Continue. Let us listen to this again. But have your pen and your paper on your hand that you can use this in any platform. That you can use it in any other platform and let them know the truth. That is why when I'm tackle IPOB, somebody will come on and tell me, stop tackling IPOB, fight your Bafra and get recognition and become a country now. Leave IPOB. IPOB is the downfall of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. They are the one handed him over without doing nothing. Let's continue first.
When a leader is fighting for freedom but their people or the international community refuses to issue or recognize a declaration of independence, that leader often becomes what historians call a forgotten prisoner or a permanent dissident.
I hope you're listening. When a leader is fighting for freedom for their people or the international community refuse to issue or a declaration that leads to recognition of independence, the leader often become what historians call a forgotten prisoner or a permanent dissident. A leader that is fighting for a new country. And because of he was arrested, his people could not be able to achieve recognition or declaration. That leader becomes a forgotten prisoner or a permanent dissident of a prison. Of a prisoner. Let's continue. So, for you to know the importance of declaration, and you that undermine the declaration, that you only wishing MAZI Nnamdi Kanu to remain a forgotten prisoner. Now, The seat at home that you used to remember him, you want to cancel it to silence and forgot him in the prison. Why all of you are so wicked and evil? How much? 50 million. All of you fall Yakata. And the 50 million is like in every election, in the days of election, they will come and give you 4,000 or 5,000 that you eat for 5 or 8 years of that particular someone who is contesting. That is why you vote. That the same method is happening now in the movement of Biafra. But what saves us is our official, formal declaration of United State of Biafra that took place on 29th of November 2024 is the only finishing line, both you in the homeland and me in the diaspora, that changes my status and changes the leverage of every Biafrans. What we are telling the world is to stop seeing Nnamdi Kanu as the same leader of the organization called IPOB is organization. The people that declared Biafra on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu to change his status is really the indigenous people of Biafra, with a vote over 50 million Biafrans on the self-referendum. That is evidence, is everywhere in social media. I don't know why Archive refused to change it. I don't know why the world see addressing Nnamdi Kanu as a IPOB organization leader. It's no longer, the level has changed. I am indigenous person. We are the one who voted that I want my country called Biafra. That I want my country called in full name United State of Biafra. Is an organization registered in UK from us, and a structure that he will use to achieve Biafra as a country. The same thing Simon did, registering Bridge as one of the agents that later become prime minister. Could you imagine? We must stand on the truth. The truth is bitter. The truth is what? Is bitter. The people of Biafra, the people of USB, I want you to know that your self-referendum vote is what will keep you alive. That is the first thing that gives us the strength, give the USB strength to carry on. Thank you for that, your vote. But you must continue to support the USB we are declared. The declaration is only hope that leads recognition, that release every leaders and all the Biafras in the prison, in the hands of Nigeria. Take it or you leave it.
Without a declaration, there is no legal bridge to move that person from the status of a criminal to a head of state.
Remark this place. Without a declaration, there is no legal bridge to move the person from the status of a criminal to a head of a state. From that day, we declared Biafra, November 29, 2024, is from the day we changed the status of Simon Eba. Finland is a corrupt country, really. That is why they say we should go through legal. But Finland, we want to ask you, do you go through legal when you are fighting your own? But let us say that the era has changed. Let us say that the era has changed. So, without a formal declaration, There is no legal bridge to move that person from the status of a criminal to a head of what? State. IPOB. Without knowing what to do, how to achieve Biafra as a country. They thought that Biafra is a structure that they can continue to make the world and be building hotels everywhere. You think that Biafra is a company of infrastructure stomach for you. My assignment about the Congress has ended. It is no longer in existence.
The primary examples of leaders whose freedom and status were stalled because a declaration was absent, refused, or unrecognized.
Listen. Here are how primary example of leaders whose freedom and status was told because a declaration was absent. A declaration was absent. A declaration was what? Absent in their movement. After they have been arrested, there is no declaration. That is why they use the word. That declaration in their movement was what? Was absent in the movement. And what happens? Continue listening. Here are how the primary example of a leader whose freedoms and status was stalled because of a declaration was absent, refused a declaration because his people refused to do what? That leads to recognition. What happened? Listen to one of them.
1. FILP Karma, West Papua. FILP Karma is a modern example of a leader who remained in prison specifically because the ruling power refused to recognize his people's right to a declaration.
1. This leader from this FILP Karma, West Papua, is from Turkey. His people refused to make declaration, and he still remained in the prison. And they said they use him as what? FILP Karma is a modern example of leader who remained in prison, especially because of his people refused to do declaration or at least recognition. He remained in the prison till today. The declaration, the key to set a leader who is fighting for fighting to have a new country out from the hands of the old country that you are fighting to exit from. I want you to, as well, listen, pay deep attention, bringing your mind to where we are at this stage.
The Act. In 2004, he raised the Morning Star flag, a symbol of West Papuan independence, and participated in a ceremony to commemorate a 1961 Declaration of Independence that was never internationally recognized.
Even though that this leader, before he arrested, he was planning to make declaration. This leader, he made declaration by himself, but they took him out. But because of his people fall back, because of the people of West Papua from Turkey, they fall back. They did not stand on that mandate of that declaration to push more. Look at this one, this leader make declaration. But when they took him in, his people refused to stand on that mandate of the declaration. And what happens? It happens that this leader, see, today remain inside because his people are doing what Ogenkere, Imam Maduabu, was doing today. Let's bring what I was thinking into my mind. If I say it, check if it is true. Do you also know that if ABDUIIAH was taken out on the eve of this declaration, that Ogenkere and Imam Maduabu will be doing what you see them doing today? Check very well. If, like this Turkey history man, that he stand on the eve after he raised flag of West Poppy as a country. In 2004, he raised the flag. And as he finished raising the flag, he was about to present the symbol of that flag when Turkey government arrested him all the way from Kenya. You see, Kenya have a very bad history. This man was arrested in Kenya, and the Kenya handed him over to Turkey, and he's still there in prison today. Let me shift a little bit, then I will come back. This Philip Kamara was in exile in Kenya, like MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. Because when something happened, history continues repeating. So we want to send a message to Kenya people. You see this betrayal that all of you in Kenya betrayed MAZI Nnamdi Kanu is what your people did in 2004. In 2001, in the same year, Kenya again, the leader of the people of Biafra, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, was also kidnapped and rendition illegally to Nigeria. So your country is a country where anybody run for him to be saved, you will hand him over to those that are looking to buy him. Kenya, a country of betrayal. Look at history repeating here. Look at the history repeating. Only one God, thank you so much. My father, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it. Now, in this same Turkey, in this same Kenya, that Philip Kamara, the leader of West Poppy, was arrested on the eve that he's making declaration for them to exit from Turkey. And he was arrested, or maybe kidnapped from Kenya. The way they kidnapped our president, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, in Kenya, and sent him to Nigeria and call that arrest. So in the history, so Kenya has a history of kidnapping leaders that are fighting for their own freedom. Why that when Kenya is fighting for their freedom, an Igbo man called Nnamdi Kanu is where who give Kenya safety. When Great Britain was arrested Jomo Kenyatta and looking for the second in command. The second in command, they run to Nnamdi Kanu and he served them. And today, in 2021, they opened their hands and repeated the same history that they repeat in the history of Philip Kamara of West Poppy, that's trying to exit from Turkey government that are maltreating their people. So Kenya has a history of, if you are fighting for a freedom from another country, once you go to Turkey, once we go to Kenya, Kenya will arrange with the country that are looking for you to sentence or to buy you. Kenya will hand you over to them. They did it to Philip Kamara of West Poppy. They did it to MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. This history repeating. So today, if you want to take a movement of a new country, never you enter Kenya. If you enter Kenya, Kenya will sabotage you, handed you over to the country that want to buy you, or country that want to arrest you and put you in prison. That is the history of Kenya. Now, I also want you to take your mind on particular one thing. With the hatred, with Ogenkere changing the document of ABDUIIAH, when ABDUIIAH is here with us, that could take your mind to that if ABDUIIAH was making this declaration, and Finland arrested him. That's what you see Ogenkere, Imam Madwab, and all these groups they are doing today is what they will do on behalf of MAZI Simon Eba. Because the people of West Papa did it to their leader, Philip Kamara. So you see what happened after our declaration? It happens in the history of Philip Kamara, West Papa of wards that want to exit from Turkey. The people that he gathered together for the declaration compromise with Kenya and use Kenya to hand this leader over to Turkey. And they refuse to carry out the mandate of that declaration to the end. They scattered from there. Many groups functioned out from there, and they could not be able to complete the declaration. That is why from 2004 to 2026, this their leader still remain in the prison in Turkey till today, from the Kenya to Turkey. I want something to come into your mind. Turkey and Kenya did it. Remember, Nigeria is still pushing to bring Simon Eba back. That is why I love what our government is doing. And the arrest of Simon Eba Njoko has exposed how corrupt the Finland courts and how corrupt the government of Finland is from 2004 to 2026. That is one that I want you to have in your mind is happening. I see you, morning, Boyman Ngozi. Good morning. I see you. Where can you see Nation? Thank you so much for coming. The history is repeating everywhere. Kenya have the history of taking a leader who is fighting for a new country, handed him over to the country that he's fighting to exit. So it's not by mistake. It's well orchestrated plan that Kenya has done it in the past. That today, on the case of Nnamdi Kanu, they did the same thing they did in the past again. So they know how to hand over a leader who is fighting for a new country in the hands of those that he's fighting to exit from. I hope it's clear to you. Let's continue.
Sentence. He was arrested for treason and sentenced to 15 years.
He was arrested for treason and sentenced to 15 years. I hope you are listening you are getting something from here. What Nigerian government is charging MAZI Nnamdi Kanu? Treason. What are they charging Simon Eba? Treason. Is it not true? I'm making up a story here. Look at the history is repeating. And I told you that all this history will repeat for us to know where we are going. Ogodna, thank you so much for coming. I see your comment. Thank you. Keep it up. Yes, that is what Ogenkere and his men plan to do. Let me tell you, if the Finland did not arrest ABDUIIAH before that declaration, they could have arrested him before he pronounced our declaration. What knocked Finland away was the smartness of Ngozi Orebeze making that declaration before December 2nd it was being planned. That is only from where we become a free people till today. Mazi, fine, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I hope we are making common sense. I hope that we are making what? Common sense. Biafrans. So, as you can see, the truth is really coming out who Kenya is and what they did in the past. They have repeated it again. A leader who is fighting to exit Turkey was arrested in Kenya, sent back to Turkey, and sentenced him for 15 years because of charging him treason. Can you see? We continue.
The refusal. The Indonesian government refused to acknowledge the independence movement as a legal entity. Because the international community did not recognize West Papua as a new country, Kama remained a prisoner of conscience for over a decade rather than a president. The result, he was released in 2015 only after massive international pressure, but because there was no recognized declaration, he returned to being a private citizen, not a leader of a new state.
Do you see it now? After a massive international pressure, he was released in 2015 because it was sentenced to 15 years. Now, when he released in 2015, he's not released as a president of a nation. Rather, he released as a private citizen because the people did not maintain the mandate of the declaration. Because if they maintained the mandate of the declaration, the leader could have come out as a president of a new country. And had it here that because of lack of the maintaining the mandate of the declaration, that there is no recognition to prove that there is a new country. They maintain the mandate to prove that what? They did not maintain the mandate. That is why the leader was arrested and he was released, returned to be a private citizen because of the law. They will knock on him that he will never speak about West Papua as a country. Sorry, because this particular leader was from, they want to exit from Indonesia, please. The one of Turkey, we are going to get down to it, please. This is what happened in a leader that is fighting to exit Indonesia. And today, because his people could not be able to protect the mandate, he released, and he's no longer fighting for that new country. He's no longer he's not a president of a new country. Do you understand? So, do you see why Nnamdi Kanu in every offer he said no, that all he wants is Biafra? That is why I continuously call him the president of the United States of Biafra. Because the time that we are into, if not for this sabotage, we could have gone far. But I thank God that the government is not sleeping, that they are moving forward every blessed day. Now, who is the next person? Listen.
2. Nnamdi Kanu, Biafra/Nigeria. Kanu represents a leader whose movement wants a new country, Biafra, but the government and the international community refuse to grant or recognize a declaration.
Yes. Number 2, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, lack of declaration. And the one that we have met, the world will soon, or the world has already recognized it. That is why USB, now we are only the legitimate government in exile of people of United States of Biafra. MAZI Nnamdi Kanu will soon be released as the president of this new nation. Believe you me, once will see recognition, because the declaration proves that we will use him to negotiate with Nigeria to accept USB as a country, like what happened in many countries in the past. Like what happened in Bangladesh when Pakistan released Rahman and recognized Bangladesh as a country after the negotiation, because of the people met declaration and they used it on that moment of declaration to do many exploits that triggers that the world, India, UK, recognize Rahman of Bangladesh as the president of the new nation called Bangladesh. So today, number 2 in this history is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Kanu represents a leader who movement wants a new country. Umuokoko IPOB, come and hear something. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for a new country. That is why Obatobi understand what he's fighting for. Simon Ebanjoko, you hated so much. You bear a force against him with the help of Ogenkere that are parading and persuading all of you to be doing the shenanigan that all of you are doing. After all this, there is no declaration. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for what? Kanu representing a leader who movement want a new country, Biafra. But the government and the international community and his people did not make any declaration that the world will be organized. IPOB, no declaration that sentenced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. Because the only one thing that changes any leader leverage is what? Declaration that make him to become a president in waiting in prison, waiting for what? Recognition that he will come out as a president of a new country. Now, it's pop and clear that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not fighting IPO, he's fighting for IPOB organization, rather. He is fighting for Biafra as a new country. Now that that new country has been declared, is because of your organization did not declare it. Is it why you are condemning it and why you are criticizing it and why you never accepted it? You must accept this our declaration by thunder by force in due time. Go and help transformer, because you don't know the road, the criteria, what it takes to make declaration of a new country.
The struggle. He leads the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, who was arrested on charges of treason and terrorism. The standoff.
Do you remember that the leader of Indonesia was still charged with terrorism and treason? Is it not true? Is it not the same that was charged to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Why IPO declaration? The struggle. He leads the indigenous people. Now, that is where we want to caution the world. That is where we want them to change this narrative. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for every entire over 85,000 million Biafrans. Is what he's fighting for. Now that this organization could not be able to make a declaration, and the Biafrans he's fighting for, who understand what he wants, makes the declaration. Because that is United States of Biafra that was declared through Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, cabinet members, and we Biafrans given the mandate with over 50 million votes of our self-referendum to make this declaration. And you are there still talking about organization. So are you telling us that because of this organization, there's no group or the indigenous people has no right to make declaration anymore or to seek for their opinion? Anybody in IPOB organization has only one vote. Anybody in IPOB organization has one vote, but we're letting the world to know that over 50 million has voted, and after our declaration, which is the end point of all these organizations, has ended, and now we are in the era of a country called United States of Biafra. That's what declaration give us the mandate to do, and the document of a new country that are seeking for international recognition, like every other country in the past. So drop this history of IPOB. It does no longer exist. Every Biafran is an IPOB, but not for this organization being registered in the UK. Not for under that organization being registered in the UK. We are outright indigenous people of the Biafra. Must he be under IPOB? The world must take note. Well, the world has already taken note. So we want you to know that the MAZI Nnamdi Kanu that we are holding is a president of a new country that his fighting for has been declared. Over 50 million votes was being given to the government that declares it through a lady called Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. ABDUIIAH organized a self-referendum that I myself voted as an indigenous person. Remove that word organization. But as an indigenous person, I voted. I did not vote as an IPOB organization. No, I vote as an indigenous. Every country, the citizens are indigenous people. Today, the Biafran people has passed over 85 million people. We are crossing to 100 million people in the world outright. So remove this to your history of IPOB. Remove it. We no longer cherish your IPOB. We are no longer an organization, but now our declaration in Finality, Finland, November the 29th, 2024, we have moved a country like every other country. IPOB is a structure. Bridge is a structure that was registered on behalf of the movement of people of Biafra to use that as a government called Bridge to make the declaration of United States of Biafra as a country. That is why we are. What is that your name? Newman. I will not block you first. I will allow you to play the history of leaders who was incarceration and never be released because of lack of declaration. That's why I will not block you. After I have played this, then I will put you to where you belong.
Because the Nigerian government refuses to allow a referendum or a declaration of independence, Kanu has remained in a legal limbo. The result, in 2025-2026, he remains in a cycle of detention and trials. Without a formal declaration that creates a new Biafra, the Nigerian court system treats him as a citizen breaking domestic law rather than a foreign leader in conflict.
There is something here that I want all of us to listen to. The results. In 2025/2026, he remained in a cycle of detention and trial without a formal declaration that creates a new Biafra. Because IPOB did not make a declaration. Ogenke did not make declaration. Imam Maduabu did not make declaration. Who made declaration? Hashtag Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. That make declaration of the without a formal declaration that creates a new Biafra. Who made it? Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. And all these mugus, all these FLIP are glancing around. And because of this declaration is not come from IPOB, that Nigeria believe that MAZI Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of IPOB. You see why they refuse to accept the declaration. And they still treat him as what? Then Nigeria court system treat him as a citizen, breaking domestic law rather than a foreign leader in conflict. Hope you are hearing. Let us go to number 3 of a leader that is fighting for a new country, that because of his people could not be able to make declaration, that leader still remain in prison. Listen.
3. The Gday Music Group, Western Sahara. The Sahrawi people have declared a republic, the SADR, but because many countries in the occupying power, Morocco, refuse to recognize that declaration, the situation, many Sahrawi leaders remain in Moroccan prisons, serving life sentences. The legal trap. Since the declaration of their country is not universally recognized, they are treated as internal rebels. Their life sentence remains in effect, because the new country they fight for does not yet have the legal power to issue an amnesty that the rest of the world will follow. Comparison. Why the declaration is the key. Leader. Status of declaration. Result for the leader. Nelson Mandela, recognized by the world/regime. Released to become president. Nnamdi Kanu, refused by the regime. Remains in prison/trial. Philip Karma, suppressed by the regime. Served full term. No presidency.
I hope you're listening. I hope you are listening. I want you to listen on the part that for you to understand that our real declaration. Look at people of Western Sahara. They made declaration also. What are they waiting for? Their leader is in prison in Morocco. They are waiting for what? Recognition. They are waiting for what? Recognition. And upon their waiting, their leader still remain where? In prison. So, the only act of our declaration by our DPM, Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, is only what will change or release Simon Ekpa and the MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. They will become prime minister and the president of the new country. Now listen to this. If the people or the world if the people refuse to make declaration, the leader remains under the old law in the eyes of the old government. In the eyes of the old government, there is no new country because of there is no declaration. Do you understand? Because of no declaration, there is no new country. Ngozi Arabeze declaration proves that USB is a new country. Number one. Number two, therefore, there is no new law. There is no new law to do what? To free MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. There is no new law to free who? MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. Charles Richard, thanks so much for your comments. Yes, we are coming to Kenya. We are coming. And we are also treating the issue of Kenya already, of the atrocity that Kenya has been committing in the past. Because in Kenya was where the leader that is fighting to leave Indonesia with his people was kidnapped and returned back to Indonesia. So, therefore, the old prison is the only legal reality. For MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, for any leader that is fighting to have a new country, and there is no declaration. Once there is no declaration, the leader remains a criminal, a traitor, a terrorist, and every other thing in the eyes of that old law. But if there is a declaration, there will be a new country, there will be a new law, like what USB is representing today. Can you see it? I know that this is this might be what is his name? The man called himself done something. Do you think I have time for you? I will just allow you for some time. If you look at all the garbage you have time to write, I've just used a single time to wipe it away. Now, listen. A leader freedom is almost always tied to the sovereignty. A leader freedom that was fighting for a new country, that was arrested, always tied to the declaration of a sovereign new state, of the land they represent. If the land isn't free or on paper, the declaration, the leader is free in prison. After the declaration that the leader or that declaration is on paper, that's on the move, that the leader has become what? A prisoner, a president that are waiting for recognition of the new country that he's fighting for, so he can come outside. Now, let us go into a Turkey movement. Listen, remember, we are playing those that make declaration and those that they did not make. Those that make declaration and those that did not make declaration. That is what we are doing today. You can see that those that make declaration, that declaration keep them in prison as a president, and the ones the declaration bring recognition, he comes out, become a president. And the ones there is a declaration, every old law that was to sentence him is no longer holding him. It can only hold him for the period we are waiting for recognition, like people of Western Sahara. Example. Listen to this. I want the history of leaders who fighting for a freedom, who fighting for his sorry, I am giving something out for you. I want the history of leader who is fighting for freedom of the people, but he was arrested and his people did not make declaration. And because of no declaration, the leader remained in prison. That is the answer we are going to answer right now. Listen to this.
When a leader is arrested for an independence struggle, but the people, or the international community, fail to successfully issue or recognize a declaration of independence, that leader often becomes a permanent martyr or a forgotten prisoner. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereign shield. The old government continues to treat them as a common criminal under domestic law, rather than a political leader of a new nation. Here is the history of the most significant leaders who faced this declaration trap. 1. ABDUIIAH OCALAN, Kurdistan/Turkey. OCALAN is perhaps the most prominent living example of a leader who has remained in prison for decades, because the new country he fights for has never been declared or recognized. The struggle. He led the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, seeking an independent Kurdish state. The arrest. He was captured in 1999 and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. The declaration gap. Because there is no internationally recognized declaration of independence for a Kurdish state, Turkey treats him strictly as a domestic terrorist. The result? He has been in solitary confinement for over 25 years. Without a sovereign state to negotiate an amnesty or a prisoner exchange, he remains in a legal cage. 2. PEDRO ALBIZU Campos, Puerto Rico. Known as El Maestro, he fought for the independence of Puerto Rico from the United States. The struggle. He led the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party and organized various uprisings. The arrest. He was arrested multiple times, most significantly after the 1950 nationalist revolts. The declaration gap. His followers attempted to declare a Republic of Puerto Rico in the town of Jayuya, the Jayuya Uprising, but the US military suppressed it immediately. The declaration never gained legal legs. The result, because the declaration failed to stick, ALBIZU Campos was treated as a seditious criminal. He spent 26 years in prison and died shortly after his release, having never seen the new country he fought for. 3. Oscar Lopez Rivera, Puerto Rico. Following in the footsteps of ALBIZU Campos, Rivera became a symbol of the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. The sentence: he was sentenced to 55 years in 1981 for seditious conspiracy. The refusal: for decades, he refused to accept clemency because it required him to follow the rules of the government he didn't recognize. The result: because there was no declaration of independence to grant him amnesty as a citizen of a new country, he remained in prison for 35 years. He was only released in 2017 after a massive grassroots campaign, but he returned to a Puerto Rico that was still not independent. The no declaration cycle. This diagram shows why the lack of a declaration keeps a leader in a prison loop. Comparison: the power of the document. Leader: was a declaration made? Was it recognized? Final status: Nelson Mandela. Yes. Interim constitution. Yes. By the world. President: Jomo Kenyatta. Yes. Independence Act. Yes. By the British. President: Abdullah Öcalan. No. No. Life in prison: Pedro Albizu Campos. Yes. Attempted. No. Died as a convict. Why the people refusing to declare is the leader's downfall. If the people remain silent or the movement loses the will to declare independence. 1. The legal hook. The old government can claim, see, even his own people don't want a new country. 2. The bargaining chip. Without a declaration, the leader has nothing to trade for their freedom. In South Africa, the trade was, we will stop the revolution if you release Mandela. Without a declaration, there is no revolution to stop, only a crime to punish. Would you like me to find a specific instance where a leader was offered release if they stopped the push for a declaration, but they chose to stay in prison instead?
This area will touchlight many things in your mind if you are here with a pure mind. If you are here with pure, that is why you have to thank Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. If you are here with pure mind, that is why you must thank Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. When you listen to the histories of what has happened, and for you to know that the importance of our declaration, why is so important? Why is that the main key? Why is that is the end of all this movement that has no endless, that are all endless movement that will not yield any result except making noise in social media? Let's play it again. Please like, share, subscribe. I want you to see the importance of our real declaration of Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. I want to understand the importance of what she did for the Biafran people and what she did for MAZI Nnamdi Kanu and MAZI Simon Ekpa. Later, you may see. According to this program, after this, or they did not declare it, we're going to go back to those that declare it and see the benefit. And tell me why you should not clap hand for Dr. Ngozi Arabeze and the cabinet members of the United States of Biafra government. Listen again.
When a leader is arrested for an independence struggle, but the people, or the international community, fail to successfully issue or recognize a declaration of independence, that leader often becomes a permanent martyr or a forgotten prisoner. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereign shield. The old government continues to treat them as a common criminal under domestic law, rather than a political leader of a new nation. Here is the history of the most significant leaders who faced this declaration trap. 1. Abdullah Öcalan, Kurdistan/Turkey. Öcalan is perhaps the most prominent living example of a leader who has remained in prison for decades, because the new country he fights for has never been declared or recognized. The struggle: he led the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, seeking an independent Kurdish state. The arrest: he was captured in 1999 and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. The declaration gap: because there is no internationally recognized declaration of independence for a Kurdish state, Turkey treats him strictly as a domestic terrorist. The result: he has been in solitary confinement for over 25 years. Without a sovereign state to negotiate an amnesty or a prisoner exchange, he remains in a legal cage. 2. Pedro Albizu Campos, Puerto Rico. Known as El Maestro, he fought for the independence of Puerto Rico from the United States. The struggle: he led the Puerto Rican National Party and organized various uprisings. The arrest: He was arrested multiple times, most significantly after the 1950 nationalist revolts. The Declaration Gap. His followers attempted to declare a Republic of Puerto Rico in the town of Jayuya, the Jayuya Uprising, but the US military suppressed it immediately. The declaration never gained legal legs. The result, because the declaration failed to stick, ALBIZU Campos was treated as a seditious criminal. He spent 26 years in prison and died shortly after his release, having never seen the new country he fought for. 3. Oscar Lopez Rivera, Puerto Rico. Following in the footsteps of ALBIZU Campos, Rivera became a symbol of the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. The sentence. He was sentenced to 55 years in 1981 for seditious conspiracy. The refusal. For decades, he refused to accept clemency because it required him to follow the rules of the government he didn't recognize. The result, because there was no declaration of independence to grant him amnesty as a citizen of a new country, he remained in prison for 35 years. He was only released in 2017 after a massive grassroots campaign, but he returned to a Puerto Rico that was still not independent. The no declaration cycle. This diagram shows why the lack of a declaration keeps a leader in a prison loop. Comparison. The power of the document. Leader. Was a declaration made? Was it recognized? Final status. Nelson Mandela. Yes. Interim constitution. Yes. By the world. President. Jomo Kenyatta. Yes. Independence Act. Yes. By the British. President. Abdullah Ocalan. No. No. Life in prison. Pedro Albizu Campos. Yes. Attempted. No. Died as a convict. Why the people refusing to declare is the leader's downfall. If the people remain silent, or the movement loses the will to declare independence. 1. The legal hook. The old government can claim, see, even his own people don't want a new country. 2. The bargaining chip. Without a declaration, the leader has nothing to trade for their freedom. In South Africa, the trade was, we will stop the revolution if you release Mandela. Without a declaration, there is no revolution to stop, only a crime to punish. Would you like me to find a specific instance where a leader was offered release if they stopped the push for a day?
Let's walk. What is your problem? Okay. I hope you are listening, my people, and I hope you are following closely to understand exactly what is happening and to understand where we are. Why our declaration is only last miracle that ever happened in this movement that we are into. Do you see that Mas Simon Ekpa understand and he know the road stopped? Dr. Ngozi Rabeze pick it up, give us hope, and give Nnamdi Kanu hope, give Simon Ekpa hope today. Remember that what we are listening is leaders that was incarceration, and their people did not make any declaration of a new country. That is the program that we are handling here today. That is very, very vital for you to believe in the movement of the USB. For you to know that only USB is that country, that new country that changes the status of a leader who was sentenced to life imprisonment, who was sentenced to death sentence, who have no hope again, or who could have come out, live as a private citizen. There are things that we must put into our mind. Now that with all these histories that I am giving out, that I am bringing to you, now, do you understand it clearly that Dr. Ngozi Rabeze did 100% right for me and for you? Now, do you believe in that? That she did 100% right for you and for me as a Biafran people? And they want you to know that it's only Dr. Ngozi Rabeze can release MAZI Nnamdi Kanu forever, release Simon Ekpa forever, that their life will not be silenced and they will not live a private life. Because without the declaration, if eventually Obato Obie comes out, let's know for you who is waiting for Obato Obie. When the leader of Indonesia was released under the law or under the pity or under the granting amnesty from Indonesia government, they silent him. They said he is a citizen with a private life. Instead of being a president of a new country called Western Papua, which is the name of the country, or the country, the name he gives the country is fighting for. So you that is waiting that Obato Obie will come south tomorrow and is starting this movement all the way from Finland, the restriction that he's going to have, let me remind you, when MAZI Nnamdi Kanu was released in his first release from Nigeria hands, do you know what happened in the first place? Nigeria give him option that he should not stay among where you have 5 people. That the only people that worth 5 he will stay with is his family household. That he could not even attend Omona meeting. That any gathering that worth above from 6, that he should not be there. Is he not living a private life as a private citizen? Is he not living a private life as a private citizen? That is the areas that need to baffle all of us so much. For you that it is attacking Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, for you that is attacking USB re-declared, listen and listen good. You are ignorance, you are hatred, you are envy, you are jealousness. Is not an excuse for you in the eyes of the law. I know why I never go into depth analysis on this particular program, because I want to repeat playing this history so you will pick up something. You that are commenting jargon. Oladepo, USB is not making any promise. And she has never made an empty promise. I don't know what people call promise. Mind your comments. When MAZI Nnamdi Kanu told us that Biafra will come in 2021, did Biafra come then? What can you call that? Before he was kidnapped. When Obato Obie said that Biafra will come, I don't know why our people, in fact, when people write on the comments, you will see evidence of a black man brain that MAZI Nnamdi Kanu talked about.
When a leader is arrested for an independence struggle, but the people or the international community fail to successfully issue or recognize a declaration of independence, that leader often becomes a permanent martyr or a forgotten prisoner.
When your leader is arrested because he's fighting for a new country in question, and when there is no declaration, the leader remain a permanent and a forgotten prisoner. the leader remain a permanent matter or a forgotten prisoner because of those he left outside could not be able to do what? The declaration of the new country that this leader is fighting for. That is it. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereignty shield. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereignty shield. Without a declaration, not without recognition first. Without because the declaration shield brings recognition shield. Listen, how the international community sees everything. Look at how the law sees everything. There is a criteria of having a new country, and that is what USB government is following, whether I like it or not. When you listen to this, they now do the comparison with our redeclaration and what the government is pushing right now. If not for your selfish mind and your envy, your jealousness, your hatred, and your ignorance, you could have embraced this truth. But let me tell you, you are among those that when Christ came to save us, you are among those who said, Boboya, Boboya, that is why you are clapping for Genkero Onyori. That is why you are clapping for Imam Madu Onyori. And the Savior, the shame on all of you. Because people like all of you who refuse and who reject our redeclaration is among those that when Christ was here, your hand among those who said, that is where you belong to. Because the declaration is a resurrection of a new country. You don't know that?
Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereign shield. The old government continues to treat them as a common criminal under domestic law, rather than a political leader of a new nation.
Are you hearing it? Hey, he declared a nation, but you're in exile. Mwokoko. Can you make one research? Can you even, from what I am doing, just type and find out if it is true? I am very happy, but that our brother Charlie Richard is bringing, even when I never come into the second session, he's bringing things I'm about here to. So that is why I know that such people know what USB stands for, and they understand what our real declaration stands for. Without the declaration, or without a declaration, the leader has no sovereignty shield. The old government continue to treat them as a common criminals under the domestic law. Without a declaration, Finland could have done worse to Mass Simon Eber. You don't know? Without the declaration, the world, the government that arrested Mass Nnamdi Kanu, Mass Simon Eber, like the Nigerian government, will be treating that they are treating Mass Nnamdi Kanu as a common criminal. That is why they jail him. But with a declaration, rather than a political leader of a new nation, once you make a declaration, you become a new nation in the eyes of the international law that are lacking international recognition, but you are a country on your own. You are a new nation, like a newborn baby. That is the simple word of declaration. The declaration proving that a new country has been declared in the world. The declaration simply means that a new country has been declared. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereignty shield. The old government continue to treat them as a common criminal under the domestic law, rather than a political leader of a new nation. Look at it here, the declaration. Give us automatic what? A new nation. And you are making noise. You are against it because of, hey, oh, man, how can a woman will be giving me instruction? How can I take order from a woman? The world doesn't see it like that. In the present day of America, a woman is the is the COS of America. Check in the history. Even in Britain, a woman is the chief of staff of America. A woman is the chief of staff of UK. Go and check.
Here is the history of the most significant leaders who faced this declaration trap.
Here is the history of the most significant leaders who faced the declaration trap, where their people refused to make declaration. In the first one, MAZI Nnamdi Kanu forced in that first three. Now, in another first three, let us see those that fall in again. That because of lack of declaration from IPOB, that is when the government have right to use criminal, they treat MAZI Nnamdi Kanu as a criminal. Yes. The Rabeze's courage is real declaration. Our nation is a history. Many may not yet grab it. That's why we are doing this. Do you know, if not for our declaration, that Finland could have set mass back to Nigeria without wasting time. Finland know what is holding them. Finland regretted why they allowed that real declaration to hold in Finland. They are regretting it to the core. Now, let us listen to the leaders that because of no declaration, that their people remains, that this leader remain in prison. Listen.
1. ABDUIIAH OCALAN, Kurdistan/Turkey.
This man is from where? ABDUIIAH OCALAN, Kazakhstan, Turkey. He is fighting to exit to Turkey. But listen.
Kalan is perhaps the most prominent living example of a leader who has remained in prison for decades because the new country he fights for has never been declared or recognized.
Are you hearing it? Or Abladim Okazala is perhaps the most prominent living example of a leader who has remained in prison for decades because the new country he fought for has never been declared or talk less of recognition. He remained inside because his people refuse to issue declaration. He's inside for over a decade. That's why I'm telling you that in the nearby time, all of you IPOB must run fast to grab real declaration of the USB. Because it has happened. Look at it here. This leader who is fighting to leave Turkey was incarcerated, was in prison for over a decade. Because the country he's fighting for, when he was arrested, his people refused to issue or to make declaration of that new country he's fighting for. Without declaration, there will be no recognition. But with the declaration, there is a recognition for a new country.
The struggle. He led the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, seeking an independent Kurdish state.
Are you hearing it? The struggle. He lead, the name of the organization he used is what? PKK. You see? Every leader who fought for a new country have organization that he used before he will declare the new country. He will be in this organization as a party house to organize his people, to tell them the importance of why we need this new country and why we will end up in declaration that will lead to recognition. I hope you are following. I hope we are making progress, my people. If we are making progress, please let me know in the comment section if we will continue. If you're not subscribed on the YouTube page, that is the link for you to, once you touch that link there, it will take you to the page. So you subscribe. Keep your notification on so you will know when we are live. So you can be able to join us, please. Then if you also want us to, if you also want to be on our WhatsApp group, where after this program, I will post the program there. Then I'll also post this document, this history document I am reading there. So you can read and send to the gullibles where they are. Please, if you want us to add you on WhatsApp, just send hi on this number I will call now, +9733360513337. Then we will invite you on the WhatsApp forum where we post all these histories. And also, you can also join me on my S handle where I also post all this. So if you want us to join us on this WhatsApp forum, the only thing is allowed to post is anything international and the histories of countries that has passed through what we are passing through today. Not to post anything that you see. But the page even resists from some such posts. So if you want to join us, use that WhatsApp number, send hi to me on that WhatsApp number. Then we will add you. So you'll also be getting all the information. And the ones we come alive, we share on that group, you will join us. Do you see that this leader have a group that he formed and a name he used to register it, like Nnamdi Kanu using IPOB, or was using MASOB, Nnamdi Kanu using Biafra government in exile, bridge. Yes, the number is +97333513337. That is the number. Once you call the number, then we will add you. Also, that is the number we normally use once we open our line for phone call, until when our link to join us will be ready, because we are pushing to get everything ready. So we will be enjoying the program, having interaction with the program together. So it is very effective for you to know the truth. And this truth is what will set us free, no matter what happened. They might deny us this truth, but as we continue on this truth, and as we continue listening, it will give you encourage and the pure heart to know that the Okongozi Orabeze is the only one that on is this same protocol of the world. That's what you see Abeze and the ceasefire and all our cabinet members are doing, that they are doing a very marvelous job. And also, if you never subscribe on the USB official YouTube page, please try and do that. If you never do, please try. Subscribe on the USB official YouTube page. Thank you. These leaders registered something that they bring the people together. Owazike used name of Masob to register to bring those when we are in Masob together. Nnamdi Kanu registered IPOB. But OBDUIIAH registered Bridge, government in exile. Like the way this man registered PKK. And the name of the country he's fighting for is Kazakhstan. They want to exit from where? From Turkey. Are you following?
The arrest. He was captured in 1999 and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment.
He was what? Captured in 1999 and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. Look at history here. Look at what we're supposed to be doing. And look at how we can free our leaders. And look at those that they did not make declaration, how the leaders remain life imprisonment. Lack of the declaration, I said this in before, that's the pure truth. If IPOB make declaration within some years that MAZI, if IPOB was be able to issue declaration on 2023, Nigeria has no right to send Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. It's our declaration is what makes Finland that they do not sentence ABDUIIAH to life imprisonment. That is pure truth. Take it or you leave it. Take it or what? Or you leave it. Our people must learn how to think and stand on the right track. It's not about what I think, and it's not about what you want. That is why I told you. You can come here and write your garbage. But the one thing I want you to know, that you are not the one that is giving this recognition. You are not the one that send the criteria of having a new country. That those that send this law of having a new country, that they are seeing, observing what USB is doing and the mockery that you are making to yourself in social media.
The declaration gap. Because there is no internationally recognized declaration of independence for a Kurdish state, Turkey treats him strictly as a domestic terrorist.
Are you hearing it? The declaration gap. Because there is no declaration for international recognition, declaration of independence for a Kuzachi state. Turkey treated him straightly as a domestic terrorist. As a domestic what? Terrorist. This is how Turkey treated a leader that is fighting to exit from Turkey. Is it not the same way that Nigerian government who believe, and what IPOB organization is telling them, that we are only people that are fighting for Biafra, that every other people are scam. On that, your stupidity is why they sentence Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And you do nothing. Rather, all of you start resigning. The Mapawales who claim IPO, the declaration of USB is not a void, that they did not welcome it. Where is he? Where is him today? Has he never resigned? Because the mission that Nigeria gave him to do, he has accomplished it. He has accomplished what Nigeria gave him to do. So now he resigned. I hope you are following. It is a high time. That is why I'm here to let the world to know that USB is the only government of the people. That is the only legitimate government of the people of United States of Biafra. That despite this, there is no any other government anywhere in the world. Despite this government, no any other one. No. It's only USB government that make official formal declaration that Biafra that was lost has been restored back as a new country, which happened November 29, 2024. We must continue. Because of what? The declaration, no declaration. Because there is no international recognition. Declaration brings international recognition. And once there is no declaration, there is no international recognition. And what happens? This leader was treated as a common domestic terrorist. Jeff Yamaka, you're welcome. I saw Zias Nwoke, we are welcome. Aka Chukwu Nonso, welcome. Then Victor, you're welcome. Mommy Margaret, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I see you.
The result: he has been in solitary confinement for over 25 years. Without a sovereign state to negotiate an amnesty or a prisoner exchange, he remains in a legal cage.
I hope you're getting it. This leader that want to exit from Turkey, that was arrested in 1999, that was passed death sentence to him, later returned to life imprisonment. That because of there is no declaration of a sovereign state to negotiate with, he remains in prison. He remains in a legal cage of Turkey till today. From 1999 to 2026, how many years that this leader remained in prison? Because of what? Because of no act of declaration, because his people never declared the new country is fighting for. It's only when you declare you become a sovereign nation that the world will negotiate with. Look at it here. For Nigeria to be free right now, or for them to come out from the shame that they put themselves because of MAZI, Nnamdi Kanu, do you know the only option they have that the international world or international community will not sanction Nigeria is to recognize, to negotiate with a country, United States of Biafra, whether they like it or not. This is only way that Nigeria government can be free, by organizing USB and release MAZI Nnamdi Kanu as the president of United States of Biafra. Those that are advising them will not advise them this way. Because if they advise them this way, the money that they are paying to the Nigerian government, they will no longer pay that money anymore. And they will not be making the profit they are making because of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu is in prison. Do you understand it clearly? Does it make sense to you at all? Or do you think the same thing that I have think? Let us listen to another leader again that was remain in prison, that is fighting for a new country, that because of his people did not make any declaration, he remained in prison.
2. Pedro ALBIZU Campos, Puerto Rico. Known as El Maestro, he fought for the independence of Puerto Rico from the United States. The struggle. He led the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party and organized various uprisings. The arrest. He was arrested multiple times, most significantly after the 1950 nationalist revolts. The declaration gap. His followers attempted to declare a Republic of Puerto Rico in the town of Jayuya, the Jayuya uprising, but the US military suppressed it immediately. The declaration never gained legal legs. The result. Because the declaration failed to stick, ALBIZU Campos was treated as a seditious criminal. He spent 26 years in prison and died shortly after his release, having never seen the new country he fought for.
Are you hearing it? This is a man, another leader, who fighting for his people to have their own new nation from the United States. Which is the United States America. What happened? The struggle, he led Puerto Rico Nationality Party and organized various uprisings. Now, do you see that he call it what? Organized Nationality Party. He make it open that this is a party name that we are going to use to declare Puerto Rico as a new country. It's an evidence, like what I always said, that any name that we use to declare Biafra is like a party name. It is an organization. It is what organization? And what happened? The arrest was led. He led the Puerto Rico Nationality as an organization, various uprising. The arrest he was arrested most significant after the 1951. After he was arrested in 1950, his people did not issue any declaration because of the weight of the military, of the US military on his movement. What happens? Because of there is no declaration, his followers attempted to declare a Republic of Puerto Rico in the town of Jayuya, the Jayuya uprising, but the US military suspended it immediately. US military. See, people have tried to move away from America. Let me tell you, there's a problem everywhere. People are trying to exit and stay on their own, on what will favor them. What happened? American military arrested this man finally in 1950. After that, the people tried to stand for declaration. And what happened? US military, because this Puerto Rico tried to exit from the United States of America, US. They arrested this man, put him in prison, and scatter the movement. That's why I told that Finland is regretting why they allowed us to declare Biafra in Finland. Believe you me. If USA that believe in self-determination, arrested a man in 1950, sent him to prison for how many years? For 26 years. And because of his people trying to declare with the effort of the US military, they scattered that declaration. What happened? They put the man in prison. And listen. Military suspended it immediately. The declaration never hold legal way. Now, the result, because the declaration failed, that his people never met that declaration. When US military took him away and put him in prison, what happened? ALBIZU campus was threatened as a sedition criminal. Now they treat him as what? As a sedition criminal. He spent 26 years in prison and he died shortly after he's released. He died without seeing the new country he's fought for. Do you hear it? Because his people did not make declaration. I want you to be paying attention, to listen to the histories of what has happened in the before, what happens before, for those who fought for a new country, and when the leader was arrested, they did not make declaration. You are giving the oppressor power to arrest this leader, treat him as a common criminal, treat him like a terrorist, treat him like a rebel, treat him like, or charge him with their own constitution and sentence him to life imprisonment. That is what IPOB planned for MAZI Nnamdi Kanu.
3. Oscar Lopez Rivera, Puerto Rico. Following in the footsteps of ALBIZU Campos, Rivera became a symbol of the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. The sentence: he was sentenced to 55 years in 1981 for seditious conspiracy. The refusal: for decades, he refused to accept clemency because it required him to follow the rules of the government he didn't recognize.
Are you listening? Another leader, Oscar Lopez Rivera, Puerto, the same Puerto Rico. Following the footsteps of ALBIZU campus, River becomes a symbol of the struggle for Puerto Rican independence, which there was no declaration. The sentence, he was sentenced to 55 years in 1981 for a sedition separation. The refusal of declaration. He refused, when his people refused to declare, he refused to accept the law or any offer coming from the United States of America, because it requires him to follow the rules of the government he did not recognize. He said, I did not recognize American laws. I will never resign. I will never accept it. What happened? The result, because there was no declaration of independence to grant him amnesty as a citizen of a new country, he remained in prison for 35 good years. He was on release in 2017 after a massive grassroots campaign by the return to the Puerto Rico that was still not independence. The people later come back after 35 years to start agitating, okay, we don't want the new country, we only want him to be released. Like what happened to Wazirike, why he deviated. When he was arrested, his people, his commanders, those that are very close to him that he trusted, meet him in DSS dungeon or in prison and told him, Oga, let me tell you on your own, no, we have accepted the law of Nigeria, we want to remain in Nigeria. Wazirike accepted, and he come out. That is what Nnamdi Kanu refused to do. Like this leader of this Oscar Lopez that fight to exit from America. So, because of there is no recognition, because of there is no declaration, there is no independent new nation to negotiate with. That is why they abandoned him and leave him there. Now, let's go.
The result, because there was no declaration of independence to grant him amnesty as a citizen of a new country, he remained in prison for 35 years. He was only released in 2017 after a massive grassroots campaign, but he returned to a Puerto Rico that was still not independent. The no declaration cycle. This diagram shows why the lack of a declaration keeps a leader in a prison loop.
Are you hearing it? This diagram shows why the lack of declaration keeps a leader in a prison. No declaration that keeps a leader in a prison, but declaration release a leader in a prison as a president of a new nation. Let's do the comparison.
Comparison. The power of the document. Leader. Was a declaration made? Was it recognized? Final status. Nelson Mandela. Yes. Interim constitution. Yes. By the world. President. Jomo Kenyatta. Yes. Independence Act. Yes. By the British. President. Abdullah Ocalan. No. No. Life in prison. Pedro ALBIZU Campos. Yes. Attempted. No. Died as a convict. Why the people refusing to declare is the leader's downfall. If the people...
Are you hearing it? Nelson Mandela. Yes, the people declared that they are against apartheid regime. They call it declaration. That's why they said it here. Yes, he made it. Jomo Kenyatta, his people declared, yes, he becomes what? A president of Kenya. What of Abdullah Okazan? No declaration, no recognition. He remained in prison. Abdullah, no declaration, no recognition, life imprisonment. Pedro Lopez, attempted, fell, dead as convicted. They give him death sentence and convict him. You see, all of you that never want Nnamdi Kanu to be free, any Biafra, anybody who is against our declaration, never want Nnamdi Kanu to come out from prison. They never want ABDUIIAH to come out from prison. That is why they are kicking against it. That is why they are kicking against the declaration. Because they don't want him to be out. You can have it here. That because of that, these men refuse to make declaration. Their leaders remain, and they give you the names of those that the declaration helped to secure them out as the president of that new country. Thank you so much. May Elohim bless you for standing up resolutely to make the declaration of unity of Biafra that sets me free, that gives me a new country and a new law, that Nigeria can no longer do anything to me. Also, giving Nnamdi Kanu hope and Master Simon Ebanjoko, and also the declaration you achieved was why he remained only in Finland. They did not send him in Nigeria, where he will first death sentence. Thank you, man, and all the cabinet members. I thank all of you. We must continue to pray for Kongozo Arabeze and the others going to the USB that you are seeing today. That is how it is. Please, 1 minute. Sorry, my people, I have an urgent call, which I have already attended. Sorry for that delay. Sorry for that. So, I want you to understand, or according to this, our program today, you can now see why the declaration is very important and the importance of our real declaration. You can see the importance of what? Our real declaration. That is, you see how important it is. And you see how no declaration have kept all these leaders in the past in prison. And you see how their case was being treated and how they was being treated as a common criminals. Calling them all kinds of names and all manner of names that MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpanjoko is facing today. I hope you are learning, so I hope we are getting something from here. I hope you can use this to see the importance of our real declaration. Why it is very, very important. And this is what we are into. Why it is only life savior of MAZI Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpanjoko and all Biafrans that are in prison. And also how it has removed us from any name that have tagged IPOB organization. Because so far USB is concerned, IPOB organization is no longer in existence. The only thing we have is the indigenous people of Biafra as the citizens of United States of Biafra. These are the areas I want you to be looking at. These are the most important areas I want you to be paying attention to. Why the people refusing to declare is leaders' downfall. When we refuse to declare a new country, you are bringing a downfall to the leader. All of you who is against our declaration, you are looking for downfall of ABDUIIAH because now I know why Ogenkere fought to make sure that the declaration did not happen, so the ABDUIIAH will be on downfall. IPOB never know the road in the question. IPOB don't know what it takes to declare a new country. All of them that's a member of IPOB, they don't know the road. And they never knew what it means to be a government in exile. Why all of them are... Chike Dozie is in abroad. Chinasa Wori is in abroad. Is it not true? They are all in exile. And when we talk about the exile government, they refuse that your DOS is in exile. That your so-called organization IPOB was registered in UK. Is it not the truth? Are you on the homeland? Onye obokokpo ihe dị n'anya kpachapụ na kpachapụ dị n'ọzọ anya. Onye accurate bụ onwe na-achọ na accurate. You that is a member of the DOS, are you not in exile? Are you not in a foreign land? Are you not in a foreign country? Did the IPOB registered in Nigeria? Did the IPOB is not registered in UK? Bridge registered in Finland. That's make declaration. Oh, you are not in exile. Okay, you are in diaspora. You cannot reason. You need to so for you to come, and now that USB is like Jesus Christ, the savior, so for you to come, that your life will be saved, you are there. We did not recognize your declaration in exile. And you want me to recognize your DOS in exile that are doing nothing. You want me to recognize your DOS in exile that are doing nothing. Your IPOB is registered as an organization in UK. Simon Ekpanjoko, who know the road to make declaration of a new country, register it in Finland. These are truths. Then the ABDUIIAH use cabinet member. They are all in exile. And we have our de facto government in the homeland. Have you, IPOB, ever have de facto government in homeland? Do you know the name of de facto government in homeland, IPOB? DOS. DOS underground. The Neka Chimezie. The IPOB you are championing, where are they? Are they the DOS? Are they on ground? Anybody talking about IPOB registration? Where does it happen? It's not in UK, in abroad. You are so-called IPOB. Where does it registered? Where is she? Where is the Kenguru Agoha? Where is Nenianya? Where is all this? Yes, I don't know, in exile. Okay, you are in the homeland. Why some of you are in Germany, some in England, some in America, in many different countries. Where are you now in the homeland? Neka Chimezie, the IPOB you are talking about, their leaders that you are talking, where are they? You are envy, you are jealousness, you are hatred is destroying you, and you are making mockery of yourself in social media. So when I joined IPOB, I don't know January for the first time. I only heard of his voice. Those are claiming they are the IPOB Director of State. Neka Chimezie, the Director of State of IPOB, where are they? The so-called Emapawafu, who is writing fake news every blessed day, is he not in Ghana repairing phone? Is he not in Ghana repairing phone? Come and answer. DOS, where are they? Are they in Odu Anambra? Are they in Enugu? Are they in Umuahia? Are they in Okigwe? Where is this IPOB, the Director of States, that you are championing? They are all in exile. Oh, they are in abroad. Oh, you don't know that abroad is in exile. You don't know that diaspora means exile. Thunder will fire all of you. And I'm happy that all of you are putting your face in social media. Hating Ngozi Orebeze is like you hating Jesus Christ, whether you like it or not. When Christ died, he resurrected. Biafra died. Simon, but through Ngozi Orebeze, resurrected Biafra. It becomes a new body, becomes a new country. These are simple truths that I want you to know. These are bitter truths that I want you to understand as history is repeating.
People remain silent or the movement loses the will to declare independence. 1. The legal hook. The old government can claim, see, even his own people don't want a new country. 2.
When you remain silent like Ogenkere, who fall back, like BGC, the Nigerian government we continue to represent said that these people, they don't want a new country, that they want to remain under one Nigeria. That is what IPOB represent. That is what fallback represents. That is what BGC represent. Those that never want new country could you. I hope it's very clear on this program, my people. Is it not becoming more clearer for all the Osimis? Well, let me calm down, because I want this message to go viral to them. Please, if you never like the program, I want you to like and share the program. Please endeavor to like and share the program, please. That's if when the people did not make a declaration of independence of a new country, when their leader was arrested and they remained silent, that simply means that they do not want a new country. Falling back to Oge Nkele Bridge is that you don't want Biafra as a new country. That is just simple, straight point that I want to understand.
Bargaining chip. Without a declaration, the leader has nothing to trade for their freedom.
Without bargaining chip, without a declaration, the leader has nothing to trade for the freedom. Without declaration, the leader will not have freedom as a president of a new country, but he might have as a private citizen of an old country.
Africa, the trade was, we will stop the revolution if you release Mandela. Without a declaration, there is no revolution to stop, only a crime to punish.
I hope you're listening. In South Africa, the revolution, if you release Mandela, release Mandela. Now, without a declaration, there is no new country. There is no new law. The leader remains as a common criminal under the punishment of the old country. So you want Nigeria to continue punishing Nnamdi Kanu? Watch what happened at P Court. I don't know how long our people will understand the truth and flow the real deal. Our people need to be dealt with, honestly. No declaration, no new country, no new law. The leader remain under the chain of the old law as a common criminal.
Would you like me to find a specific instance where a leader was offered release if they stopped the push for a declaration, but they chose to stay in prison instead? When a leader is arrested for an independent struggle, but the people, or the international community, fail to successfully issue or recognize a declaration of independence, that leader often becomes a permanent martyr or a forgotten prisoner. Without a declaration, the leader has no sovereign shield. The old government continues to treat them as a common criminal under domestic law, rather than a political leader of a new nation. Here is the history of the most significant leaders who faced this declaration trap. 1. ABDUIIAH OCALAN, Kurdistan/Turkey. OCALAN is perhaps the most prominent living example of a leader who has remained in prison for decades, because the new country he fights for has never been declared or recognized. The struggle. He led the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, seeking an independent Kurdish state. The arrest. He was captured in 1999 and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. The declaration gap. Because there is no internationally recognized declaration of independence for a Kurdish state, Turkey treats him strictly as a domestic terrorist. The result? He has been in solitary confinement for over 25 years. Without a sovereign state to negotiate an amnesty or a prisoner exchange, he remains in a legal cage. 2. PEDRO ALBIZU Campos, Puerto Rico. Known as El Maestro, he fought for the independence of Puerto Rico from the United States. The struggle. He led the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party and organized various uprisings. The arrest. He was arrested multiple times, most significantly after the 1950 nationalist revolts. The declaration gap. His followers attempted to declare a Republic of Puerto Rico in the town of Jayuya, the Jayuya Uprising, but the US military suppressed it immediately. The declaration never gained legal legs. The result, because the declaration failed to stick, ALBIZU Campos was treated as a seditious criminal. He spent 26 years in prison and died shortly after his release, having never seen the new country he fought for. 3. Oscar Lopez Rivera, Puerto Rico. Following in the footsteps of ALBIZU Campos, Rivera became a symbol of the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. The sentence: he was sentenced to 55 years in 1981 for seditious conspiracy. The refusal: for decades, he refused to accept clemency because it required him to follow the rules of the government he didn't recognize. The result: because there was no declaration of independence to grant him amnesty as a citizen of a new country, he remained in prison for 35 years. He was only released in 2017 after a massive grassroots campaign, but he returned to a Puerto Rico that was still not independent. The no declaration cycle. This diagram shows why the lack of a declaration keeps a leader in a prison loop. Comparison: the power of the document. Leader: was a declaration made? Was it recognized? Final status: Nelson Mandela. Yes. Interim constitution. Yes. By the world. President: Jomo Kenyatta. Yes. Independence Act. Yes. By the British. President: Abdullah Ocalan. No. No. Life in prison: Pedro Albizu Campos. Yes. Attempted. No. Died as a convict. Why the people refusing to declare is the leader's downfall. If the people remain silent or the movement loses the will to declare independence. 1. The legal hook. The old government can claim, see, even his own people don't want a new country. 2. The bargaining chip. Without a declaration, the leader has nothing to trade for their freedom. In South Africa, the trade was, we will, without action, there is no revolution to stop, only a crime to punish. Would you like me to find a specific instance where a leader was offered release if they stopped the push for a declaration, but they chose to stay in prison instead?
I want you to remind ourselves of one thing. Because of that Nelson Mandela, that end of tight regime, that his people declared it again, he was not in prison. He was released. Jomo Kenyatta, his people declared declared that Kenya is a new country. He was released. Now, these last two people, Lopez and Abdulatif, two of them was not released because of what? That their people did not make declaration. They understand the declaration. Yes, the declaration saved all of us, not only MAZI and Kanu Simon Epa. Even it serves was RICO also. All of them. Those that have, honestly, this woman, God bring her at the right time. Like when God bring up a Toby at the right time. The right people must emerge at the right time. The important people must emerge at an important time. And we allow the phone call of our people, depending on what's our program today, please. If you have time to call, the number to call remains +9 7 3 6 0 5 1 3 7 +9 7 3 6 0 5 1 3 7. That is the number you can call if you want to call. As I go back to play from the leaders that was released because of that their people that they left when they was arrested make declaration. I want us to, those people that are argue about USB re-declared, to know that without declaration of a new country, there is no sovereign new nation to recognize. Without the declaration of a new sovereign state, there is nothing that the world organize. Answering bridge, answering BGC, and government in exile, nothing, except you have the document of the mandate of the declaration with all the evidence that surrenders the declaration and the grievances that leads to the declaration. This is how it is. There is no other way around. So for anybody who is making noise, continue making your noise and continuously, foolishly destroying yourself. Because if you see this new country, it has come to stay. It can never be a fair state again because those betrayed Chukwuemeka Odumegwu make Biafra a fair state in 1970 1970. But in this 21st century, we are not going to allow it anymore. We have a caller. Onyempa, good evening from here, Mazi.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question which is very, very dear to me and has been bothering me.
Okay.
In all this thing that you are saying, all these people who are making this independent of a new nation, delaying this movement, delaying these things to happen, although who are not recognizing when the state is, declared, knowing pretty well that this is legal document to have the state. I have not been hearing about the consequences and these people. I only about was it Malaysia or Indonesia who said people get independent, they don't give them documents, but if they leave the country, they will not come back to the country again. They only give the resident permit. So I have never been hearing about the grievous consequences against this set of people who does not want the freedom of their people. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, my Mazi. The thing is, I have it, but for now, I don't think it's necessary to play the consequences. Unless if you say, unless like now you ask me, we can look at the consequence of those that never want America as a country. There is a consequence. Yes. We can look at those who betrayed Nelson Mandela when he come outside, what he did to them. We can also look at Finland, what they did to those that never want Finland to become a country. We can also look at Northern Korea, people that never wanted to become a country. All these things, they are there. As we are bringing all these things, I have all of them also. But for now, I think that the area I want to focus on issue of this, our declaration and this argument in exile. I know why I always come in on this time, because it's so there is people, like I am a living witness. I have almost 10 people to 20 right now that have called me and said, my brother, what you are doing has changed my mind. Yesterday, I have a three phone call from members of IPOB that called and said, I am IPOB on my after I've ended the pro, they called me and said, I am IPOB member. My brother, I said all this time I was wasting my time. Now I know what it takes to have a new country. One of them said that through my program on this show declaration, that this declaration simply means that someone who went to school without graduation and without a document, that person did not went to school and he cannot claim, and nobody will give him a job of those that went to school. That was how the guy said that. This is how he understands it and that is how he addressed it. So why I focus on this is that for those that even still haven't double mind in USB, for them to know this is only the way, and for those who have soft mind, for them to that are a little bit confused to also make up their mind and join us. That is why I am taking my time to dwell on this. That is why. The punishment is heavy. One example is America. All these people who never want America as a country, they all die in exile. America banned them. They never come back to America. America did not even giving them resident permit. Even a story of a man who his only son was against the declaration of America. The man disowned his son and he said, if I die, that you should never come back to inherit my property in America. It happens. So there is many. But why I focus when you will see me now bringing those one out is that immediately one country announced recognition, then I will bring the grievances. I will bring the penalty that you casted on all these people who are making noise. Everything is intact.
Okay, it's good to hear that, because the only record I have about this, I think between Malaysia and Indonesia. Is that Malaysia, right? That it was 4 people who sat in a restaurant and brought independence to their country.
Yes.
And those who did not accept it, for today, even their children, they are not recognized as citizens of I think either Malaysia or Indonesia.
Malaysia.
They only give them Malaysia. They only give the resident permit. And if by any chance you leave Malaysia, you will never come back to Malaysia again.
Even though South Korea, it happens in South Korea give them only resident permit. They are living there as non-citizens of South Korea because of their betrayers after when South Korea was fighting. So when we will bring this one out is that let one country come out officially, announce that we are standing that United States of Biafra is a country. One day I will fire it down with that. It's already in the store waiting.
Okay.
It's already in the store waiting.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That is a very vital question. Thank you so much. Thank you. You continue.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, our line is open. You can ask question. You can make contribution. Also, you can call. You can make contribution also. It's very important. And this we are into. It is very important. So after playing the issue of making declaration and how it helps, I will play all this program we have done today. After that, I'm going to, if someone call, someone call, I will shut the program down. Then we will come back on exposition about Nigeria buying a chemical weapon that triggers the arrest of one of the politicians in Nigeria that EFCC is looking for right now. And we are going to expose how dangerous that chemical is in the next few hours. Because I don't want to join it up with this particular program. But today is my day. I am available, so we can come back again in maybe the next 2 hours to watch out as we are going to. We are going to be doing on this. They will also be dwelling on his position on Nigeria's and things that are made that under research that they're keeping secret that nobody knows. So that the world will understand why Biafra is the solution to end ethnic cleansing, ethnic genocide that is going on, my people. It is very important. It is very important for us to also be exposition on Nigeria's security, what they are doing, and showing it to the world. So, like I said, I want to start on conclusion that declaration set some leaders free, and those that declare there's no declaration, they are not free. So, pay attention. Hold on, because I am going down. A lot of things is on this phone. A lot is on this particular where we are right now. Because our people will think that our declaration is just making math. Now, let us play on the issue of Zimbabwe and the U.S. declaration document. I think let's leave it because of the America is their leader was not arrested. We want those that was arrested and put in prison, how they got freedom and become a president of their new country because of the declaration of these people that they left outside. Once they achieve the declaration, how it changes the status of all these leaders. Listen to this.
Think of it this way. Before a declaration, the leader is playing a game where the other side makes all the rules. The declaration is the moment they throw away the old rulebook and write a brand new one. Here is why a declaration is the only power strong enough to flip a leader's status from criminal to commander-in-chief. 1. It kills the legal ghost of the old regime. When a leader is arrested, they are processed under the laws of the occupying or colonial power, e.g., British law, French law, or apartheid law. The problem? As long as those laws exist, that leader is legally a convict. The solution, a declaration of independence, is a legal Big Bang. It creates a new universe where the old laws cease to exist. The result, the life sentence, becomes a ghost. It was issued by a government that technically no longer has power over that person. 2. It switches the source of power. This is the most critical psychological and legal shift. Before the declaration. After the declaration. Authority comes from the crown or colonial ruler. Authority comes from the people. The leader is a subject who broke the law. The leader is a representative who fulfills the law. The prison cell is for punishment. The prison cell is a sacrifice for the nation. 3. It forces international recognition. Without a declaration, other countries, like the USA, France, or the UN, cannot officially help the leader because they would be interfering in another country's internal crimes. The declaration turns an internal police matter into an international conflict. Once the declaration is made, other countries can recognize the prisoner as a head of state. Example, once the new country is recognized, holding that leader in prison becomes an act of war against a sovereign nation, rather than just keeping a prisoner in jail. 4. The pen is mightier than the sword. In many cases, the freedom fighters cannot win a total military victory. They can't break their leader out of a high-security prison by force. The declaration is the political jailbreak. It creates a situation where the only way for the old government to have peace is to sign a treaty that recognizes the declaration. The trade. The old government gets to leave peacefully, and in exchange, they must release the criminal so he can become the president and keep the new country stable. The status flip summary. Treason doth never prosper. What's the reason? Why, if it prosper, none dare call it treason. Sir John Harrington. A declaration is the prosperity that stops people from calling the leader's actions treason. It rebrands rebellion as patriotism. Would you like me to show you a specific amnesty clause from a real treaty that turned a prisoner into a president? It seems we're zeroing in on the exact magic words that turned a prison cell into a presidential palace. The wording in these declarations is never accidental. It is carefully crafted to allow the old government to save face, while giving the new leader total legitimacy. Here are the specific, history-altering phrases used for Nelson Mandela and Jomo Kenyatta. 1. South Africa, the Unconditional Declaration, 1990. For decades, the apartheid government offered to release Mandela if he renounced violence. Mandela famously refused, saying, "Prisoners cannot enter into contracts." The breakthrough came on February 2, 1980, when President F.W. de Klerk stood before Parliament. The wording was the key. I wish to put it plainly that the government has taken a firm decision to release Mr. Mandela unconditionally. I am serious about bringing this matter to finality without delay. Why these words mattered? Unconditionally, this was the most important word in 20th century African history. It meant Mandela didn't have to take back anything he fought for. Finality. This signaled to the world that the old life sentence was legally dead. 2. Kenya. From darkness to stability, 1961. The British had previously described Jomo Kenyatta as a, quote, leader to darkness and death. To release him, they had to completely flip their vocabulary. In the official announcement of his release in August 1961, the British governor's declaration shifted the focus to the future of the new country. I have decided that he should be released. Kenyatta should be allowed to return to his home. This is a step toward constitutional progress and the unity of all people in Kenya. Why these words mattered? Constitutional progress. By linking Kenyatta's person to the Constitution, they made him the face of the law rather than an outlaw. Unity. This word rebranded a rebel as a unifier, which is the primary job of a president. 3. The universal language of freedom. In almost every declaration that releases a freedom fighter to become a president, you will find these three specific concepts. 1. Amnesty, legal forgetting of past crimes. 2. Sovereignty, the declaration that the old laws no longer apply. 3. Mandate, the recognition that the leader has the support of the people. Summary of the golden phrases. Leader, the golden phrase, the hidden meaning. Mandela, release unconditionally. The prisoner won, the government yielded. Kenyatta, constitutional progress. He is now the law, not a lawbreaker. Gandhi, political prisoners. They aren't criminals, they are rivals. A quick correction/clarification. Greater than while these declarations led to their releases, the Declaration of Independence usually comes after they are out of prison. The release is the opening act, and the Independence Declaration is the grand finale that makes them president. Since you've been asking about the Declaration of Independence, would you like to see how a document like the US Declaration of Independence or Zimbabwe's explains the right to break away from an old government entirely?
I hope you're listening. Yes, brother, you are right. You are right to that. That is why you see all these people, Shamaka, Jereo, Genkere, Mamadou Abudem, fighting as if they are the one helping Mazi. They are helping to jail him when they refuse the declaration. When they refuse for them to detail to Obatobie that the declaration has happened, every document is in process. We are processing everything. These are the areas I want you to pay attention. Truth must be told. Honestly, my brother, you are on 100% right. And these your comments will bring me very soon to bring the attitude of those that want a country. First, don't worry. We will get into this particular statement that you make here fully. That is why when some of us make comments, I will just screenshot it and keep it for a personal purpose, because sometimes all these things call to use them to research, honestly. We are going to bring out a country that exactly what you said has happened in the past. I'm going to bring it out very soon. Very, very soon. So why these people are fighting? And I have already have some part of the one they said that those betrayed the leader will always fighting, claiming they are the one bringing lawyer to bail him. Why they are fighting to keep him in prison? Why they reject the declaration? And why they want the leader to come out and be silent? Okay, please, my brother, I told this in this country where I am, if I put my number on comment section, I am going inside for 3 months. That's why I called the number from my mouth. Okay, I can call the number for you, please. Yes, it's Malaysia and Singapore, yes. Okay, the number is +9 7 3 60 51 337 +9 7 3 60 51 337. That is the number, only on WhatsApp. If I put this number showing on my screen, and you will not see me here for 3 months. That is 6 months is 3 months for here. So it's better. But you are free to call it on mouse. Somebody can copy the number. It does not stop me from asking anybody to put it on comment section. But no, it's not allowed. So you can call, yes. We have the time we're into, we are rounding up, so you can call. You can call, yeah. You can call. So you can see how other countries, the declaration serves their own leaders. And do you see why the enemies who plan to keep Mazi Manepa out of the movement and keep him in prison or to silence him? You see all this that Imam Maduabo and all their group are doing is to keep Mazi Manepa silent, so they can be able to destroy the movement. You can see that is where they belong. With this program, you can see that some countries that they did not make declaration, they are into organization, and when the leader was arrested, they could not transit to organization to a country. They did not make declaration. Because of they did not make declaration, keep their leader in prison. The one that was managed to come out, the one that managed to come south, that particular one, the the rule of the country that released him, Indonesia that released him, told him, you are a private citizen of this country. You dare not see you in the gathering of the midst of 5 people. Like what Nigeria told MAZI Nnamdi Kanu in his first release. This is exactly what the government told MAZI Nnamdi Kanu in his first release. When we are on the protest, he was addressing us. He told us that this would never want me to stay among 5 people. We have a caller. I think we have a caller. Hello. Yeah, welcome, my brother. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good evening from here. You are welcome. Chai. Thank you. Thank you.
Program again. I want to notification.
Okay.
Because all program the number of your boss here. I'm going to I'm going to know if I find a platform moving one.
Yes.
And one thing, you know, very well given. Even all these things I learned in the data. Or there are become and the degree of effort I put. But I identity crisis. This is why when it comes to both our illness and this is their property, majority of only buy and on the exception.
Exactly.
And all now, in the time my function, how can you make a good to our differences? Claim that the unity of purpose which is the answer. Anyway, a critical number of people from our side, they say the majority of our people on this social media believe that actually people like I be categorized sit at home as anybody. Many of our people are there from non because now support the US. When they are asking now, as if no Simon may be forced to sit at home there. So don't mind by your water. Here, picture. Before I have put that together. This is still a fishy today. Open at GOS or no when the 8 days of time. Okay, then GOS is a water. In one in have a son, I can't was I move. And I can't give you now. Get the Simon. All the members have been GOS, Babylon to Simon. No one at home when I'm in a lunch. You watch that as famous in the Simon. You watch that the space of time behind you. How you can make poor.
Yes.
That is the one. And realize it. They say, let us capture this man. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, devil advocate card in Nigeria today. Ask them, you see that they don't know what they want. Immediately, the head of the first distractor, he died into action. Let me tell you, all these things I do, they don't know. The only 2 factors I have faith and reverence of composition and love of money. They might not know what they are doing, but that 2 things, faith and reverence of composition because of the woman, if they put to an eye, one of the woman wrote the book, now how they want to take a name. All human beings to be able to be great. From young water,
yes.
Where I have more than account. All who they actually go over there and they will go to 6 5. no, the whole program mandate. Yes, they have a mandate. How to say, okay, normal platform media see, all those things, they're not answering. They do all these things. But I want to do my water, man, they go. Because no more those now. So na struggle na my country of residence. They only hear them. I don't know. I don't think the people are going to. After the life of my according to one people may all of that to get. But majority of the man very good. If I follow as I live with the resourceful, the no have achieve, even at the home of their faith. In the name of me, how we do before. It will all come. But even that what we value, often I had another the voice of this thing. This is the matter. Often I had an annoying, and I never thought we won't stick it up of Koran. Then boy, I saw it. He had a people at that time, therefore, I did near to him. You say, because if I don't have no, may accept that this one thing I just have to do is which doesn't go by the side. Because all the problems in the US do not have to work here. Okay, let me retrieve the truth.
And this is how we can have a new country.
Yes, this is the truth. This is what I will have to promise us. And the proposal of the made it. Not thinking that he made it possible. But this is the truth. That is why we believe we can go moving to get about it. As far as I took my time to follow Simon Eton. As far as I followed him in all the engagement in the band, questions were the answer. My brother, you cannot tell me that I should not support you US. They made the running of USB country very difficult for Congo. How are you today? You guys were the people that confused and convinced the so-called men on the ground. Carry back maybe draw this woman God now. It's the going up. It's the inside people like that obedient woman. Listen at the Congo that when you do right. Okay, yeah, but you need to walk by or can't look at it. Oh, my God, they say they come from another place. When I no, now. Here will be and will be long result. Common sense will have change again this year. Maybe if I'm not ever see ever do we harass that? Common sense will have to go to some.
Yes.
Come on, put it in the doing. Yeah, no need to all your belongings, so you need the story. In that packet of somebody, we're not going to convince a man on the ground. The woman is junior and fresh. Even here it works than this because it's never started after. At least it started with fractured ESN. But we know because of this and over time, as soon you guys left the woman nothing. Okay, only Jita happened. Only Jinka. But the online, that's the program go to answer. Let's get a relevant program. Or even the assignment. ID card and paper, you will need a lot for the good and people do nothing. Rest of that, I saw 50 now so much. How the matter, whatever the people now only to not Uganda. When the international one look at us, or the US when they look at us, they will say these people are not right for freedom. Because this freedom now, they come up, they go will and but our lawyer is still putting us on pressure. Is it time to give this, to hand over this thing to this child? and the father just died. That is what it is. And the child is behaving like someone useless the inheritance if it is given to him. That is what we are doing. The majority are using their money in action, observing you boys, like you, like people that are supporting the democracy, and few of us, we do not understand. People by having and answering to late, they a faction. RICO sana kita pun lakon kita lakon, publik lakon, PG lakon, ini macam kata lakon. Dia orang boleh blok nampak. Orang RICO sendiri kan bosan, apa? Orang beli barangnya, mencari barangnya orang barangnya. So mana ini lewu yang di kampung itu number and for the defeated because this thing all because this lobby. This thing is another lobby. Because anyone that come across this your message and you want to go very big area. Okay, I think nice. All the message of fine. You will listen otherwise. But they get a plan from one that they will from women to see the very deep language. They will call you food, block you, they will punish you. But at least when they ever do something, of coming out, this would be able to get their program or they realize that everything will now. But we get this people to most of you look like that, and they are formidable, they are this. Now the calendar and offering music, almost now. Over that, nothing, nobody will. But how can they we are formidable, we are these, we are that, we are wise, we are this. You see, my brother,
thank you so much, Akaiwat. I am very happy because you're always on the right track and you always make a very big sense all your comments in every platform. Whenever you are talking, I always pay attention because despite you are not in social media, you have something to give. So anybody who listens to you must get something out from whatever you are saying. So thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, my people. What we are doing is what we're supposed to do. I want you to know that no declaration, no new country. No declaration, no new country. No declaration. You were putting a leader who is fighting for that new country to lifetime in prison or sentenced by death. No declaration. You are telling the world that this leader is the one killing the people, that the people never want Biafra, or the people never want the new country as a country. No declaration. You are letting the world to know that you are just social media committing nuisance, that you don't know what you want. So it's only on declaration is a center point of recognition for a new country. I hope you had it here, that the declaration leads to recognition. The declaration leads to international recognition. The declaration leads to two recognition. One is what they called under Geneva Convention, internal sovereignty recognition. That is why I told you in the comment section that you always use hashtag I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. That is internal sovereignty recognition. Also, having USB ID card is evidence of internal sovereignty recognition also. Do you see how all this works? So there is no negotiation for Simon or Nnamdi Kanu without the declaration of the USB. There is nothing to negotiate with, or rather, they will put restriction release on them. They will become a private citizen. That is why some leaders who are intelligent refuse to accept any offer from the old government that arrested them, because that is why one of those leaders in one of these countries said, I did not recognize this your law. I will not accept anything from you. MAZI Nnamdi Kanu, rejecting anything that's coming from Nigeria is proving that he doesn't believe in Nigeria law. And the law has expired. How could the law expire? The law expired outrightly once there is a declaration of a new country. No declaration, no recognition. Forget what the is doing. It's just the playing on the written template being given by Nigerian government. That Nigerian government is stop from where the oil stop. They start using Ogenkere, Mamadou, and all of the Shamaka them. And you had it here that when people is against the declaration, they are telling the world that the leader is the wrong person, that is not a good person. That they want to silence the voice of that leader. When his people refuse to accept declaration and they want to remain the way they are, that they on their own is showing to the world that this man is forcing us to have a new country. That is why when you arrested him, we refuse to make declaration. That is why when we arrested him, we don't want to make declaration to prove that it's our choice to have a new country. Do you understand it clearly? So my people, this is 3 hours at 8 minutes. We are going to end it here. Like I said, in some hours, we may come back to spend maximum 1 hour again on the exposition about this chemical that's Ribado bought, that Nigeria military head Ribado bought in Nigeria to wipe away the indigenous people. It's very important to know all these things. No declaration, no new country, no recognition. Declaration, new country, recognition. Leaders come outside free, becomes a president of a new country. No declaration, the leader remains a common criminal, terrorist. All kind of charges will be leveled against them. Treat them as a common criminal. Declaration, treat them as a president in waiting for a new country. That is why it's important that you understand what USB stands for and what we are doing. People, we are going to draw the curtain here until next some hours by specialists who we will come back again. So those who send their number, then we will to the group. Once we come alive, we share the program, then you will get your own share of the program. We are live and direct. My people, may school come and bless all of us. May he protect us. May he keep us on the right thinking, that we will understand that the only government that we have and what is a new country is our real declaration that took place on November 29, 2024 by one and only Dr. Ngozi Orebeze. Remain blessed until we come back again. Thank you so much, my fellow Biafrans. It is our right to do what? To have our country, which is United States of Biafra. Thank you so much, my people.